Chapter 2283. A good show played out in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. A huge light screen in the Imperial Palace's drill ground showed the scenes there. Under the control of the Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Patriarchs, the various feudal lords and powerhouses could see what was happening on the light screen. The 13th prince is really incredible. He split his forces into 3 groups and already conquered 4 inferior grade inheritances. Wang Yi's guests were all outstanding talents with great desolate Yin bloodlines. They held a huge advantage when they first entered the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. The other prince's guests endured the spatial pressure and did not dare to clash head-on with the 13th prince for now. Most of them chose to avoid the spatial pressure. The spatial pressure in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb was simply too great. The ever-present great desolate Yin aura prevented people from bringing out even 50% of their strength. They could only wait until they gathered sufficient dragon essence and gradually adapted to the spatial pressure. The first prince is really lucky. To think that he found a superior grade inheritance. The light screen showed that the first prince was leading Wuxia and the others in attacking an inheritance whose dragon luck was clearly stronger than that of the other places. However, whether the first prince was lucky or the Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Patriarchs provided sufficient insider information, everyone understood. Haha. The 4th prince is really unlucky. He could not find an inheritance and can only hunt demonic beasts. I don't think he can last this round. Hey, what's wrong with the 10th prince? His luck actually decreased by half. He is in the snowy region. If I recall correctly, no one has entered the ice inheritance there. It is one of the most complete inheritances in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. What's going on? The ice inheritance is gone. When the light screen showed the 10th prince, Xiaochen happened to have already left, so no one noticed. The light screen only showed the 10th prince's pale face and dispirited face, as well as the collapsed ancient hall behind him. What a fellow! Who exactly got such a great bargain? Although this ice inheritance is a medial grade inheritance, it is complete. If one can obtain it, it will be even more valuable than a superior grade inheritance. Although a superior grade inheritance was of a higher grade, it was hard to say for sure that no one managed to enter it in the succession race. It was hard to say how many things could be left for the later generations. Given this, the value of a complete inheritance became clear. At the summit of a snowy mountain in the vast snowy region, Xiaochen stood on the summit, facing the wind and snow as he looked at the scarlet blood rose in his hand. He had to choose between the ice inheritance and the ice great Tao. Without a doubt, Xiaochen chose the latter. Let's take out the dragon jade first. Any treasure in the inheritance contained dragon essence. Furthermore, it contained more dragon essence than the average demonic beast. When the jade strip absorbed the dragon essence in the scarlet rose, Xiaochen felt that the dragon essence in the jade strip had increased by half. The rose contained dragon essence, which was slightly more than the dragon essence that the 10th prince had given him. In the jade slip, the dragon essence was sparkling and translucent like an immortal spring. In the next moment, the dragon essence that was being nurtured within suddenly took form and leaped out. It swam up and down around the jade scroll. Xiaochen reached out and held the jade strip in his hand. He immediately felt the spatial pressure of the entire ancient Yin Emperor tomb vanish. I didn't expect to collect a dragon shadow so quickly. Xiaochen revealed a look of joy on his face. Being able to collect dragon essence so quickly was indeed a great surprise to him. As far as he knew, it should be rather difficult to collect a dragon shadow. Dragon shadows would appear only when the amount of dragon essence reached a certain level. The more dragon shadows around the jade strip, the more luck there was. It's time to absorb the ice great Tao in it. Xiaochen muttered to himself after putting away the jade strip. Compared to the dragon essence, the ice great Tao that the scarlet rose represented filled Xiaochen with even more anticipation. Right now, Xiaochen's ice great Tao had already reached the 2nd layer. He looked forward to absorbing this scarlet rose to see how much it would improve. Of course, the most important thing was to comprehend the white-clad Yin Emperor's understanding of the ice great Tao. Xiaochen stretched out his hand and grasped the rose tightly. The thorns on the rose pierced his palm, connecting with his blood. The bright red roses, watered by the blood, were as beautiful as blood. giving off a strange light in this vast snowy region. Boom! Suddenly, the rose disappeared, turning into bright flower petals that filled the air, flying together with the snow. The wind was unclear. Would it be a rain of roses or a bloodbath? Xiao Chen closed his eyes and sat down cross-legged. Then he slowly spread out the ice Dao domain, filling the air with rose petals and snow. The rose petals turned into motes of light and entered Xiao Chen's body. While Xiao Chen refined the ice inheritance, the other prince's guests did not remain idle. Yellow sand flew everywhere, and sand dunes rose and fell. The mysterious black-clad man, who had parted ways with the first prince, wandered aimlessly in a sea of sand. This black-clad man wore half a mask, and his strange left eye flickered with a deep blue light. No one dared to look directly at him. It felt like if one looked at him for too long, one's soul would sink into it. Many ferocious beasts lived in the sea of sand. Occasionally, one could see guests who could not find the inheritance hunting them. Stop right there. Hand over all the dragon essence you collected. Just at this moment, two people rushed out from behind, and one of them shouted loudly. The many princes' guests came from all walks of life. After coming to the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, they revealed some of their bad habits. The black-clad man remained expressionless when he heard that. He silently turned around and glanced at the two. The scarlet cross in the depths of the black-clad man's left eye flickered with a weak light. The two three-veined sovereign emperors preparing to rob the black-clad man immediately felt a chill in their faces. Horror inexplicably welled up in their hearts. Plop! Plop! The heart of the short-haired man on the right beat increasingly fast, so fast that he could not control it. He felt something choking his throat. His breathing turned ragged, and he could not speak. Suddenly, without any warning, blood oozed out of that person's 7 orifices, and his heart leaped out of his chest. That person died on the spot, his eyes wide open. Before he died, he seemed to have suffered boundless torture, his eyes filled with boundless horror. Ah! The remaining three-veined sovereign emperor screamed in fright, trembling as he looked at the black-clad man. Such a scene was completely beyond his understanding. Boom! In his desperation, the black-clad man's aura surged, hating that he could not use up all his divine energy. The black-clad man ruthlessly threw a palm strike. The force of this palm strike gathered his divine energy, soul energy, and Dao domain, turning it into a fiercely burning eagle claw. This claw tore through the sky, and intense flames surged into the sky. Even a 4-veined sovereign emperor had to deal with it cautiously, not getting careless. This was the peak strike of this black-clad man out of extreme fear. He wanted to use this to buy himself some time to flee. Whoosh! The scarlet cross in the depths of the black-clad man's left eye spun frantically. In the next moment, something strange happened. The blazing eagle claw that seemed to be able to tear apart a small world got swallowed up by the black-clad man's left eye. There was no sound, no trace left. That black-clad man was utterly stunned. He even forgot to flee. When that black-clad man startled awake, he screamed and turned around to flee. However, just as he turned around, a strong suction came from him, and his entire body moved back. No matter how he struggled, he could not resist. That black-clad man could only grab at the air helplessly. Then the wild, berserk energy pulled him into the black-clad man's left eye. Crack! Crack! The black-clad man's left eye seemed to contain a powerful ferocious beast. After it swallowed up that black-clad man, it gave off cracking sounds. The surroundings were so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. If someone heard these cracking sounds, they would definitely be horrified, not understanding what was going on. 2 three-veined sovereign emperors died silently in the eyes of the black-clad man called Shi. One was frightened to death, and the other was swallowed alive. However, all this seemed insignificant in the black-clad man's eyes. The black-clad man's expression did not change at all. He turned around and continued strolling through the desert, heading for the place where the sun set. After a while, under the afterglow of the huge setting sun, the black-clad man finally saw the person he wanted to see, Yan Songming. Zhen Yuan stood at Yan Songming's side, hugging a saber as he stood at the side with his eyes half closed. Zhen Yuan did not look at the black-clad man, not even glancing at him out of the corner of his eye. The afterglow still shone on his face. Brother Yin, we meet again. The black-clad man's expression finally changed when he saw Yin Songming. Then he revealed a faint smile. Lord Shi. Yin Songming performed a cupped fist salute and bowed slightly, expressing his respect for this person. Brother Yin, you are still as polite as before. You know when to advance and when to retreat. How about it? Have you considered what I told you before you came? The black-clad man asked indifferently, not minding it. Yin Songming said after some thought. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint Lord Shi. I will not give this ethereal immortal palace key to anyone. However, I have never been disrespectful to Lord Shi, much less dare to be an enemy. Boom! The black-clad man's gaze sank, and his eyelids drooped slightly. Immediately, it felt like the sky pressed down heavily under his gaze. Even the huge setting sun seemed small above his head. Zhen Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly. A brilliant light flashed in his eyes, which had been closed all this while. Zhen Yuan's right hand inadvertently grasped his saber's hilt. Mysterious black patterns appeared on Yin Songming's face, looking like dragon scales and looking somewhat sinister. Black death chi spread out from Yin Songming's body, squirming like it was alive. However, Yin Songming's expression did not change, and there was no hostility in his eyes. All of a sudden, all the pressure was swept away. The black-clad man's lips curled up. With this smile, the demonic clouds for 5,000 kilometers around scattered, and the setting sun turned bright. Brother Yan, I have always treated you as a friend. How can you say such a thing? Even if you hold enmity for me, you will still be my friend. It is normal for friends to misunderstand each other. The black-clad man paused for a moment. Then he suddenly shifted his gaze to the sky and said, However, this friend, there is no point in hiding. Hey, where are you looking at? I'm behind you. The black-clad man's expression changed slightly. When he turned around, he saw a person leaping out of the setting sun. This person appeared out of nowhere with an indistinct smile on his face. He had a calm expression and carried a sword on his back. Chapter 2284. The appearance of this person in the sun surprised the black-clad man. To think that he could not grasp the other party's position. The black-clad man could not help showing some doubt. The black-clad man was very confident in his perception. In that case, did this person teleport in an instant? Or had he been hiding in this ancient Yin Emperor tomb's sun from the start to the end? Zhen Yuan and Yin Songming exchanged glances. They both saw shock in each other's eyes. At the same time, they somewhat understood why the black-clad man suddenly stopped. It must be because of this person. The black-clad man's background and strength were extremely horrifying. This was especially so for his eye technique, which inspired despair. I am certain that you are not among the prince's guests. Who are you? I am really curious. The black-clad man quickly recovered his calm as he spoke indifferently. The Xiaowu dynasty's first prince has been missing for more than 100 years. In the past decade, he appeared in the demonic Dao Hall. Rumor has it that he was born with a demonic eye that can plunge one into boundless fear. It can swallow up everything in the world, even bloodlines and souls. The person who arrived did not answer the black-clad man. Instead, he enunciated every word before continuing. This prince's name is Shi. The demonic Dao Hall has already designated him as the Xiaowu dynasty's crown prince. However, he remains extremely low profile. Even within the Xiaowu dynasty, few people know about him. Haha. It looks like you understand a lot about me. The black-clad man did not deny it. He smiled faintly and said, However, I already know who you are. You are the universe origin sex Dao Xian, Chu Chaoyan. A shocking genius who comprehended the primal chaos great bandit. You have answered my doubts about why I could not determine your location. Might I ask out of turn? Your primal chaos great Dao can confuse space, but can it confuse time? Chu Chaoyan smiled and countered. Why don't you guess? There's no need to guess. If you cannot, you can just die. A scarlet cross appeared in the black-clad man's eyes. Chu Chaoyan's expression immediately changed, and his figure slowly turned blurry in the air. Yin Songming felt slightly stunned. Then he suddenly understood something and looked around. He saw Chu Chaoyun's figure appear where the black-clad man first determined Chu Chaoyun's location. However, the moment he appeared, his figure turned blurry again. Where is he? Yen Songming looked around. He discovered that every time he locked onto Chu Chaoyun, space would turn chaotic for some reason, disappearing from his vision. His figure continued to blur as he went further and further away. You can't escape. Since I've discovered your secret, there's no reason for me to let you go. The man in black snorted coldly and turned his gaze to the front. The blood-colored cross in his left eye flickered with light and started to spin crazily like a cross on the ground. Whoosh! The space in the surroundings twisted, and the space in the sky, the ground, the front, the back, the left, and the right, there were no blind spots, were all sucked in by his left eye. No matter how Chu Chaoyun's figure flashed in the distorted space, he could not avoid it. In the distorted space, blurry figures were being sucked toward the left eye of the man in black, because there was no dead angle at all. The black-clothed man stood on the spot, and everything in the space around him was devoured by his left eye. Chu Chaoyun's expression changed slightly and he stopped running. The thousands of figures in the distorted space merged together, revealing his true body. At the same time, Chu Chaoyun quickly formed hand seals with both hands, showing a grave expression. At the critical moment, Chu Chaoyun's body released a weak light. That was the primal chaos Dao domain. The instant this weak primal chaos Dao domain was brought out, divine characters appeared in Chu Chaoyun's eyes. His eyes shone with an extremely resplendent golden light. The heavenly flame covering Chu Chaoyun's body looked like glass, resplendent and crystalline. That flame gave off an ancient aura, breaking through the barriers of countless epochs. Whoosh! The flame flowed through the distorted space like silver light, surging into the black-clothed man's left eye. The surrounding distorted space instantly recovered. Blood leaked out of Chu Chaoyun's lips as he took the opportunity to flee. The black-clothed man's expression did not change as he looked coldly in the direction that Chu Chaoyun had taken. Everywhere the black-clothed man passed, space turned chaotic and layered over. The black-clothed man could not lock onto Chu Chaoyun's figure at all. Consider yourself lucky. The black-clothed man looked around and fixed his gaze on Yen Songming and Jin Yuan, who were not far away. Then his expression immediately changed. He smiled and said, "How embarrassing. I could not even trap an insignificant primal chaos Dao disciple. I've embarrassed myself in front of Brother Yen." The strength that Chu Chaoyun displayed earlier was not an ordinary kind of horrifying. Just that technique of distorting space alone was enough to make Chu Chaoyun tremble. Just that move alone gave Yen Songming a headache. However, before the black-clothed man, he could only flee. Although it was embarrassing, Yen Songming and Jin Yuan did not think that Xiaoqin was weak. Yen Songming said softly, "Lord, she really knows how to joke." This primal chaos Dao disciple could not even retaliate before Lord Shi. He could only flee. Lord Shi probably did not even bring out 1,000th of his strength. When the black-clothed man heard that, he guffawed endlessly. This strange laughter was completely unfathomable. Yen Songming smiled embarrassedly. However, he felt somewhat uncertain in his heart. He did not know what this black-clothed man was up to. "Brother Yen, you are a smart person. That's why I like making friends with you. It is understandable for friends to have some misunderstandings." The black-clothed man stopped smiling and looked meaningfully at Yen Songming. Yen Songming nodded and said, "Lord, she is right." "Good. In that case, I will not beat around the bush. I will not insist on the ethereal immortal palace key in your hand. There is no need for me to tell you how to express yourself, right?" The black-clothed man said calmly, giving off an unquestionable air. After some thought, Yen Songming said, "If the ethereal immortal palace appears, I will definitely stand on Lord Shi's side." The black-clothed man smiled faintly and did not say anything more. Then he looked around and fixed his gaze on Jin Yuan. The black-clothed man revealed a playful expression as he said softly, "I sense fear in you. How interesting." After saying that, the black-clothed man shook his head and turned to leave. The black-clothed man's final words shocked Yen Songming. Yen Songming sent a voice projection. "Jin Yuan, did he discover your secret?" "It's hard to say. However, he is skilled in the fear Dao, even fear itself." It is hard to say if he discovered anything. However, he will definitely not discover the Black Dragon King's secret. That's good. Did you notice? Ah, he is injured. Zhen Yuan's expression changed slightly. Then he looked at Yan Songming and frowned. Are you sure? Yan Songming's earlier respectful attitude vanished. He said coldly, I saw it very clearly. Earlier, that primal chaos true sun did not fluster in the face of danger. At the moment of life and death, he forcefully drove his primal chaos Dao domain, and brought out the might of a true god's true flame. She's heaven-swallowing demonic eye is said to be able to consume everything in the world. However, that primal chaos true flame is also said to be able to burn everything in the world to ashes. Zhen Yuan's eyes lit up. That is really good news. I keep feeling that he is an undefeatable existence. Even if I bring out my full power, I can only severely injure him. Yan Songming said seriously. This is one of his means. He wants to portray himself as undefeatable, planting the seed of fear in the hearts of everyone who comes into contact with him. The longer one interacts with him, the harder it is to defeat him. We have to thank this primal chaos true sun for breaking the seed that she planted in our hearts. Zhen Yuan sighed. Fear is truly incomprehensible. Haha. There is no need to care about that. The two of us only need to know that he has openings as well. Come, let's meet up with the sixth prince. Right. Yan Songming and Zhen Yuan immediately left, not wanting to linger. Chu Chaoyun. On the other side, the distant black-clad man muttered to himself with his eyes closed in the yellow sand filling the air. Black blood dripped down from his left eye along the half of his mask. Drip. The instant the blood landed on the yellow sand, all the spiritual energy and life force within 5,000 kilometers were swallowed up by this drop of black blood. Following that, the yellow sand filled the air, losing all life force. The surrounding 5,000 kilometers turned into a black desert. At a glance, one would think that the black blood had assimilated the desert. When the black-clad man opened his eyes again, a golden flame came out of his left eye. The black-clad man's pale complexion slowly recovered its color. As he looked at these flames, he revealed a look of disgust. Yan Songming, I hope you don't think too highly of yourself. The black-clad man snorted coldly and soared into the air, turning into a black cloud that vanished into the horizon. Chapter 2285. 2 days later, at the summit of a snowy mountain, Xiao Chun, who had already completely refined the scarlet rose, opened his eyes, and his Dao might immediately soared. First layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer. Xiao Chun's ice Dao domain rose by 2 layers, reaching the fourth layer. The boundless benefits of the ice inheritance far surpassed Xiao Chun's expectations, allowing him to gain a lot. Flowers bloomed before Xiao Chun's eyes, and heavy snow drifted before him. With a thought, the radiating Dao domain turned into a cold light and withdrew. The Dao domain condensed in Xiao Chun's hand, turning into a glistening scarlet rose. Xiao Chun casually waved his hand, and the rose scattered, turning into petals dancing in the air. Xiao Chun's lips curled up in a satisfied smile. By relying on the white-clad Yan Emperor's inheritance, Xiao Chun could instantly control the strengthened fourth-layer Ice Dao domain as he pleased. With a thought, he could condense the fourth-layer Ice Dao domain into a rose on his palm. With another movement, he could easily spread out the fourth-layer Ice Dao domain, turning it into a rain of petals, forming a special field. It's time to search for other inheritances. After tasting the benefits, Xiao Chun decided to continue searching for inheritances. Either he did not search or he went to superior grade inheritances. Only then could he gain something. However, he would probably have to go to a huge battle after this. 5 days had passed in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Most of the guests had already adapted to the spatial pressure here. And with the dragon essence they had collected, furthermore, they had collected dragon essence and could no longer bring out less than 50% of their strength. Xiao Chun executed the heavenly eye, and a vertical eye flew out from his forehead and hovered in the air. Xiao Chun used the heavenly eye to look into the distance. He saw many things that others could not see. Others were conquering those inheritances, and no one was interested in those inheritances. He could also see it clearly, which could avoid a lot of trouble and save him a lot of time. After a while, Xiao Chen withdrew the heavenly eye. Then he grasped the jade strip and checked the map of the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. The inheritances in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb were left by the previous Yin emperors. The closer one was to the center, the more dangerous it would be. However, the level of the inheritances would also increase. Most importantly, the native ferocious beasts were stronger. Aside from this, there were many forbidden lands in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. The so-called forbidden lands were places that even the Imperial Ancestral Temple could not figure out. 9 out of 10 people would die after entering. Where should I go? Unlike the jade slips of the other princes, Xiao Chen's jade slips did not contain much additional information. For example, the first prince knew of some superior legacies that others did not know about, so he could easily make his choice. If it were Xiao Chen, things would not be so simple. How to judge was crucial. Let's do it here. Our target is the Thunder Flame inheritance. Just now, I saw some of the prince's guests coming out with dejected expressions. I think they failed to break through. Xiao Chen made his choice based on the information he saw with the heavenly insight god eye. All the previous Yin emperors of the Yanwu dynasty were swordsmen. Most of them were good at the fire Dao. There were also many geniuses who grasped 2 types of great Daos at the same time, and could combine them perfectly. The Thunder Flame inheritance was such a place, the Thunder Dao and the Fire Dao. The demon blood vulture appeared, and Xiao Chen leaped into the air and landed on it. 4 days later, the Thunder Flame inheritance appeared before Xiao Chen. From the outside, it looked like a vast and imposing palace. There were many signs of battle nearby. Clearly, this Thunder Flame inheritance was a juicy piece of meat that several princes intended to occupy. However, it did not seem that easy to deal with. Thunderclouds covered the ceiling of the palace. Occasionally, lightning bolts descended. When the lightning landed, it immediately burned, scorching the surrounding 5,000 kilometers around the palace. Without a certain level of strength, it would be difficult to enter. Someone is coming. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. In the next moment, he turned into a purple electric mark and instantly vanished. Whoosh! Whoosh! Soon 3 figures descended from the sky. A horrifying emperors might instantly spread out. Xiao Chen saw from the shadows that the 13th prince's guests had also charged into this inheritance. 2 of the 3 middle-aged men gave off the aura of a golden dragon. They were horrifying 4-veined sovereign emperors. These 2 were called Qin Yu and Qin Liang. They were the dragon god crown prince Qin Ming's paternal uncles. The other person was even stronger, actually a 5-veined sovereign emperor. This person's eyes filled with wildness. He was the Heavenly Wolf Empire's expert, Tuoba Yun. The 13th prince's guests split into 3 groups, sweeping through everything before them. The 3 of them were one of the groups. They had already conquered several inheritances. Then they targeted the Thunder Flame inheritance, which had already troubled several princes. There seemed to be someone earlier? Tuoba Yun showed a calm gaze as he cautiously sized up the surroundings, using his soul energy to sense. After some thought, Qin Yu said, I saw it as well. However, I only saw a vague figure that looked like someone. A sinister light flashed in Qin Liang's eyes. He snorted coldly and said, It's Xiao Chen. He is the person that the purple gold dragon emperor wanted to kill. He should have sensed us coming and entered first, or he is hiding. In that case, there is no need to care about him. He is just a mere 2-veined sovereign emperor. He is not a threat. As a 5-veined sovereign emperor, Tuoba Yun was qualified to say that. Right. If he dares to show himself, he. The 3 did not say anything more. They ignored the descending thunder flame as they strode towards the palace. This is somewhat problematic. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. The 3 were all great perfection sovereign emperors. This was especially so for Tuoba Yun, a 5-veined sovereign emperor. The most crucial thing was that there were 2 golden dragon race great perfection sovereign emperors. Xiao Chen had a deep grudge with the golden dragon bloodline, nearly to the point where they would not rest until one side was dead. Everyone in the golden dragon bloodline viewed Xiao Chen as a thorn in their flesh, wishing to get rid of him as soon as possible. Never mind. I have to obtain the Thunder Flame inheritance. A cold look flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. As for the two golden dragon race great perfection sovereign emperors, he had to kill them once he made a move. Xiaochen gently pushed off with his feet and entered within 5,000 kilometers of the palace. Moving as light as a swallow, Xiaochen weaved through the thousands of thunder flames as he pleased. Soon he entered the palace. Indeed, there was a world inside. Only a metal bridge connected the two ends of the vast space. The bottom was a horrifying, pitch-black abyss. The end of the bridge led to an unknown place. Dang, dang, dang. The sound of the metal chains reverberated endlessly in the dark space. Thunder roared endlessly in the depths of Xiaochen's sea of consciousness, shocking him. Fortunately, Xiaochen's divine seal was strong and did not get affected. He walked steadily on the bridge, not flustered. After he was done, he entered another passageway. Using the light from the lamps on the walls, Xiaochen turned his head back to look. He discovered that the bottom of the metal chains was filled with green thunder flames burning endlessly. Piles of white bones floated on the surface of the thunder flames. These were all sovereign emperors who had fallen from the metal chains. This looked like a simple path, but so many people died during experiential training. Bona fide sovereign emperors died here. This was truly lamentable. Sovereign emperors had tested it before, and it was already comparable to divine materials. After being burned by the thunder flames for thousands of years, it gave off a jade-green light. There's sound. Soft footsteps rang out, startling Xiaochen slightly. Damn it! We actually ran into the 8th prince's guests at the final step, after much difficulty. Let's go. These 3 great perfection sovereign emperors are pretty good for not robbing us. Hehe. I guess it is because they have conquered too many inheritances. That's why they do not care about our gains. After a while, a group of people appeared in front of Xiaochen. This group was bustling with dispirited expressions, clearly in a bad mood. There were quite a number of people, at least a dozen of them. After failing to break through the Thunder Flame inheritance in a few one-on-one battles, the mercenaries from different factions decided to team up. Who could have imagined that they would run into Tuoba Yun's group of 3 and be chased out? Before strength, they had no choice but to submit. Xiaochen? Someone recognized Xiaochen and was slightly stunned, clearly stunned. Nearly all the prince's guests had heard of Xiaochen's name. It was not strange for someone to recognize him. Xiaochen nodded slightly and said, "Excuse me." Then he continued walking forward. Just as Xiaochen was halfway there, someone suddenly shouted coldly, "Stop. What advice do you have?" "Nothing much. I heard that you have a medial grade soul tool. You must have gained a lot in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb, right? We would like to take a look." The one who spoke was a purple-clad middle-aged man. Greed flashed in his eyes. Right after that person spoke, the others showed playful expressions. Although they belonged to different factions, they had formed an alliance before death. Even if Xiaochen had a medial-grade soul tool, it would still be easy to deal with a two-vein sovereign emperor. Wasn't it a piece of cake? They had the advantage in numbers, and it wasn't a problem at all. Chapter 2286. The purple-clad, middle-aged man's name was Zhang Ping. He was the 18th prince's guest, a peak 3-vein cultivator. Those who could cultivate to sovereign emperor before 500 years old were incredible existences. Those who could cultivate to 3-vein sovereign emperor could be considered outstanding talents, considered experts in Yan City. However, among the many prince's guests, Zhang Ping could only be considered average. After being chased away by the 13th prince's 3 guests, Zhang Ping felt frustrated. When he suddenly saw Xiaochen, he immediately had a bad idea. Zhang Ping immediately had a bad idea. Under Zhang Ye's instigation, the greed in these people's hearts stirred. Relying on their numbers, they became even more ferocious. What's wrong? Is young Master Xiao not willing? In that case, don't blame us for bullying you. You are still young and should not be willing to leave the ancient Yin Emperor tomb so early, right? The purple-clad middle-aged man, Zhang Ping, smiled mischievously. He thought that he had grasped Xiaochen's weakness, certain that Xiaochen would not dare to resist. When Xiaochen heard that, he smiled instead of getting angry. After some thought, he said, "With your delay, I probably will not be able to obtain much benefit from this Thunder Flame inheritance. Never mind. I'll just take some losses from you. Brat, you must be dreaming. A two-veined sovereign emperor with a fiery temper charged out of the crowd. This person was a three-veined sovereign emperor with a stocky build. With one look, it was clear that he cultivated a special body tempering cultivation technique. This grandpa will teach you a lesson. Star-breaking fist. Boom. The instant the man clenched his fist, an explosive force shot out. A strong wind howled like a saber. However, this man's fist light was even faster than the strong wind. He moved like lightning as he punched. As its name suggested, the star-breaking fist could shatter an average-sized star in the outside world when practiced to its peak. Given this man's cultivation, he had clearly practiced this fist to its peak. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he could shatter a star in the outside world. Flickering lantern flames appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes as he instantly executed the candle dragon eyes. A candle dragon head image behind Xiao Chen opened at the same time. Then a formless ice flame entered the man's body. The man's explosive speed slowed down before Xiao Chen. Kneel. When he got close, Xiao Chen let out a cold shout and lifted his leg to crush his knee. With a miserable shriek, the burly man fell to his knees in front of Xiao Chen. The ice flame swept through his limbs, bones, internal organs, and soul pool, causing him so much pain that he wished he were dead. Xiao Chen, who already possessed the fourth layer Ice Dao domain, executed the candle dragon eyes. Its might was already incomparable to before. Xiao Chen subdued a three-veined sovereign emperor with one kick. Horror flashed in the eyes of the other guests. Their hearts trembled. Xiao Chen's strength clearly surpassed their expectations. I forfeit. The man kneeling on the ground couldn't stand the pain of the ice flames, and he couldn't focus on healing in front of Xiao Chen, so he was forced to give up. Everyone, hand over a treasure and transfer half of your dragon essence to me. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. Xiao Chen swept his gaze across the crowd of guests who wanted to rob him and shouted coldly. Everyone, don't panic. No matter how strong he is just one person. If we attack together, even if a few of us die, we can still subdue him. The purple-clad, middle-aged man who spoke first shouted when he saw the situation, trying to boost morale. That was not wrong. Xiao Chen could not defeat so many sovereign emperors. However, the purple-clad, middle-aged man forgot one thing. If Xiao Chen wanted to leave, even if there were twice as many people, they could not stop him. Xiao Chen was born undefeatable. However, this group of people belonged to different princes. How could they dare to risk their lives to surround and attack Xiao Chen? Wishful thinking. Damn it! Zhang Ping raged in his heart. He knew that if he did not take the lead and delay Xiao Chen, the others would not make a move. Xiao Chen, don't be arrogant. Whoosh! A saber light appeared, and Zhang Ping took the lead to charge at Xiao Chen. A sharp saber light instantly encased Xiao Chen. Zhang Ping did not dare to be careless, not holding anything back. He merged his divine energy, soul energy, and Dao domain. He brought out everything he learned in his life into these saber lights. Whoosh! 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 However, Xiao Chen should not have executed his saber techniques before someone who comprehended the saber great Dao. This was simply making a fool of himself. You have not even comprehended the saber Dao domain, and yet you dare to draw your saber before me? Who gave you the courage? Xiao Chen mocked. He did not make a move, just casually walking around the saber lights that he saw as full of openings. Immediately, the boundlessly ferocious and tyrannical saber technique that others saw as boundlessly tyrannical moved. Xiao Chen looked like he was taking a leisurely stroll, not even staining his clothes. Seeing that someone was fleeing quietly, Xiao Chen stopped wasting time with them. He placed his right hand on the scabbard on his back and said coldly, "The saber is not for you to play with." Clang. Xiao Chen drew the tyrant saber with the support of the saber Dao domain. It easily shattered Zhang Ping's vast saber technique. Then the tyrant saber hacked down heavily. Clang. The saber in Zhang Ping's hand flew away. Zhang Ping could not resist the huge force at all, instantly falling to the ground. Lie down for a while longer. Without even looking at Zhang Ping, Xiao Chen spun the tyrant saber around and stabbed it back. The tyrant saber pierced Zhang Ping's chest amid a startled cry, pinning him to the ground. At the same time, the god Shadow Bow appeared in Xiao Chen's hand. He released his divine seal, drew back the bowstring, and released an arrow. The arrow pierced the hearts of the two sovereign emperors who had already stepped onto the metal chains, causing them to fall. Even 5 vain sovereign emperors could not block the horrifying thunder flame below. Naturally, only death awaited the two. Is there anyone else who wants to leave? The bow in my hand is called God's Shadow. Even a great perfection sovereign emperor would find it hard to block this arrow of mine. There is only one way out. If you dare, you can give it a try. Xiao Chen spoke with a relaxed tone. His tone did not sound like that of a too vain sovereign emperor. The group of guests was stupefied when they saw this. With a raise of his hand, Xiao Chen easily took down 2-3 vain sovereign emperors. The combat prowess he showed already rivaled that of 5 vain sovereign emperors. Let me go, and I'll give you a treasure. This is my jade strip. Zhang Ping grasped the tyrant's saber with both hands. Electric light flickered on the saber, but he could not pull it out of his chest. He fell into utter despair. The first to submit to Xiao Chen was to say that Xiao Chen was unwilling to leave the ancient tomb. However, the one who was truly unwilling was Zhang Ping himself. With the example of Zhang Ping, and the body-tempering man and the deterrence of the god Shadow Bow, this group of people had no choice but to submit. This group of people felt so regretful that their intestines turned green. They even cursed Zhang Ping's 18 generations of ancestors in their hearts. Everything was fine. Just let Xiao Chen walk over. Why did you stop the other party? After this group of people left, Xiao Chen looked at the watery and heavy jade strip, and revealed a satisfied smile. Another dragon image swam around the jade strip. As for the treasures, there was an even greater pile. There were rare great desolate Aeon herbs, ancient divine materials, and ferocious beast souls. Even if Xiao Chen could not obtain the Thunder Flame inheritance on this trip, he had already profited greatly. If others do not offend me, I will not offend them. If others offend me, I will repay them tenfold. Xiao Chen put away these treasures with a peace of mind. Then he tightly grasped the jade strip, and turned to head into the depths of the palace. After looking at the god Shadow Bow in his hand, Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Then he took out the death god mask and wore it. In that instant, Xiao Chen's aura vanished, becoming one with the darkness. There were 2 4 vain sovereign emperors and 1 5 vain sovereign emperor. They had the noblest backgrounds and outstanding talent, possessing great desolate Aeon bloodlines. The motley crew from earlier could not compare to these 3. The difference in strength was like heaven and earth. If Xiao Chen could deal with or severely injure one of them, it would be much easier to fight. In the depths of the Thunder Flame inheritance, Tuoba Yun, Qin Yu, and Qin Liang fought a group of Thunder Devils and Flame Devils. The Thunder Devils and Flame Devils did not have bodies of flesh and blood. They were spirits born in the world and did not have high intelligence. However, they were hard to destroy and possessed horrifying destructive power. The most troublesome thing was that if one could not kill these Thunder Devils and Flame Devils in one strike, they would quickly revive. Hence, the Thunder Flame inheritance blocked the attacks of the many princes, not breaking through. However, it was hard to say now that the 3 met Tuoba Yun's group. These 3 truly lived up to being elite sovereign emperors carefully selected from the 8 great empires. They did not show any fear when facing the many Thunder Devils and Flame Devils. Nearly all of them killed in one strike. Occasionally, an expert could not kill in one strike. Another person would quickly make up for it, working well together. As for the Heavenly Wolf Empire's Tuoba Yun, he was even more incredible. He was currently fighting a mutated ferocious spirit alone. This ferocious spirit seemed to be a combination of a Thunder Devil and a Flame Devil. Half of its body flickered with electric light, and the other half was filled with surging flames. When the two merged, the ferocious spirit could switch between them as it pleased. With the support of the 2 Dao domains, it could bring out a Dao might close to the 9th layer. Even so, Tuoba Yun dealt with it very easily, appearing calm and at ease. It seemed like Tuoba Yun did not want to spend too much effort. He wanted to wait for Qin Yu and Qin Liang to finish off the other ferocious spirits before the 3 worked together to kill it. As the 3 fought intensely, they did not notice a figure merging into the darkness and observing for a long time. Tuoba Yun cannot move. Clearly he is holding back. The god Shadow Bao might not be able to hit him. I can only target Qin Yu or Qin Liang. Xiao Chun, who had been observing for a long time, already made up his mind. He drew the bowstring, and the heart flame burned, filling the arrow with arrows. Chapter 2287. Xiao Chun released his divine seal, and infused his soul energy into the bow. The instant the heart flame filled the arrow, he let go. Whoosh! Nearly at the same time Xiao Chun let go, Qin Yu, who was preparing to kill a lightning fiend, felt his chest explode. A bowl-sized hole appeared in Qin Yu's chest, and blood spurted out like a fountain. The heart flame in the arrow entered the wound and corroded Qin Yu's entire body. His mind shook, and the divine seal in his soul pool flickered and dimmed. A large amount of soul energy leaked out uncontrollably. Pa! The lightning fiend fighting Qin Yu did not even think before throwing a palm strike. The instant the wriggling purple palm struck Qin Yu's head, lightning fell from the sky at the same time. Boom! The severely injured Qin Yu, who was already on the verge of death, died on the spot. His soul scattered, and he no longer showed any signs of life. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. The pitiful Qin Yu did not even have time to bring out his great desolate Ian bloodline, or his many life-saving treasures. He died just like that. Second brother. Not far away, Qin Liang was stunned for a long time when he saw this scene. Everything happened too quickly. From the moment Xiao Chun let go to Qin Yu's death, only 2 breaths had passed. Qin Liang could not save Qin Yu in time even if he wanted to. He could only watch as Qin Yu's corpse turned into a pile of mush. The lightning fiends continued to strike Qin Yu. A tragic sight to behold. After this arrow was shot, unless Xiao Chun left immediately, he would definitely expose himself if he remained here. Xiao Chun took off the death god mask and slowly revealed himself from the darkness. Qin Liang, who startled awake, narrowly dodged the attacks of the lightning fiends and the flame fiends. When he saw Xiao Chun's true appearance, he was enraged. Xiao Chun, you mixed blood dragon, how dare you kill my second brother? The alloy dragon armor appeared. Xiao Chun showed a calm expression, unperturbed. Back in the Divine Dragon Empire, the Golden Dragon bloodline had nearly driven him into a corner. After he managed to escape with great difficulty, he still suffered 2 fatal assassinations. Each time, his life hung by a thread. Since Xiao Chun met this Golden Dragon expert, how could he show mercy? Should he wait for the other party to kill him? Impossible. Don't worry, you'll be accompanying him soon. Electric light flickered as silver battle armor covered Xiao Chun's entire body. Purple dragon patterns adorned the armor, and a reverse scale pendant hung on his forehead. After activating the alloy dragon armor, Xiao Chun's aura surged, and his entire aura changed. The withdrawn sharpness was completely revealed. Dragon might spread out, looking solid. I didn't come looking for you, but you actually delivered yourself to me. You're courting death. Seeing that not only did Xiao Chun not run, but he was charging towards him instead, Qin Liang laughed sinisterly. A set of golden dragon armor appeared. It looked dazzling with golden light, and dragon silhouettes flew around. However, compared to Xiao Chun's combined dragon armor, it was clearly much weaker. Tuoba Yun, who was currently fighting the Thunder Flame Devil, frowned slightly. He wanted to help. However, he could not be careless with the Thunder Cliff demonic fiend before him. It was not something that he could escape just because he wanted to. If he left and waited for it to return to its peak, all its previous efforts would have been in vain. With this thought, Tuoba Yun stopped holding back and attacked with all his might. He planned to quickly deal with the Thunder Flame Devil before helping Qin Liang deal with Xiao Chun. Furthermore, in Tuoba Yun's opinion, if not for a sneak attack, Xiao Chun might not have been able to kill Qin Yu. At the very least, Xiao Chun would not lose to Qin Liang in a head-on clash. One thought could change many things. With this thought, Qin Yu's fate was already decided. Emperor Dragon Fist. Supreme Dragon Fist. Xiao Chun and Qin Yu quickly clashed. Dragon roars rang out, and dragon images flew everywhere. One side executed the Golden Dragon race's Emperor Dragon Fist, and the other executed the Supreme Dragon Fist. The Emperor Dragon Fist was known as the Dragon race's top offensive technique. Among all fist techniques, no one could match it. However, the prerequisite was that the Supreme Dragon Fist did not appear. In a few breaths, the two exchanged 100 moves. With every punch and every move, Qinyu actually ended up at a disadvantage. No matter what he did, he could not reverse the situation. The most crucial thing was that Xiaochen completely suppressed his golden dragon might. The golden dragon in his body did not even dare to raise its head. Qinyu immediately felt somewhat flustered. The golden divine dragon was the strongest of the divine dragon bloodlines. Aside from the heaven dragon, what other dragon race bloodline could suppress it? However, Qinyu did not know that Xiaochen had the blue dragon bloodline. Furthermore, he had the royal blue dragon bloodline conferred by the royal genealogy. You are just an insignificant mixed blood dragon, and you dare to be impudent. Back off! Qinyu shouted, giving up on fighting Xiaochen with his fist technique. Then, he took out a sword radiating an Emperor Dragon might. This was an inferior grade soul tool. The most crucial thing was that it contained the Divine Dragon Empire's Emperor Dragon might. This sword was far from what an ordinary inferior grade soul tool could compare to. The dazzling sword gave off a bright light. A vague image of countless dragon images kneeling and worshipping appeared amid the light, recounting the tens of thousands of years of glory of a legendary race. With the support of the Emperor Dragon might, Xiaochen felt a mountain-like pressure. He actually felt an urge to submit. This was the reverence the dragon race bloodline had for their race's dragon emperor. When facing this sword, it is like a dragon race disciple personally descending. You insignificant mixed blood dragon. Why are you still not kneeling? Qinyu revealed a cocky expression. He thought to himself, you are quite capable to be able to force me to draw this sword. However, it ends here. Ignorant. Xiaochen smiled coldly in his heart. It is just a fake holy land, not the true Emperor Dragon Sword. Instead of dodging, Xiaochen advanced instead of retreating. Before Qinyu's shocked gaze, he drew the soul tool, Heavenly Slayer. Dang! The saber and sword clashed. Qinyu, who wanted to salvage the situation, vomited a mouthful of blood and took another 3 steps back. His right hand, which held the sword, exploded. He lost all feeling in his arm. This is Heavenly Slayer, the soul tool of my dragon race's treasure trove. It has been missing for a long time. How did it end up in your hands? You speak too much. Qinyu, who was already at a disadvantage, panicked. However, Xiaochen did not give him a chance to speak. Using the might of Heavenly Slayer, Xiaochen unleashed a sharp saber move. Oh no! Tuoba Yun, who was dealing with the Thunder Flame Devil, sensed the might of Heavenly Slayer. Then he looked at the two's battle. Tuoba Yun goggled. Qinyu, a bona fide Forvain sovereign emperor with the Golden Dragon bloodline, actually ended up in such a sorry state. Not to mention Qinyu's body riddled with injuries, he even activated his bloodline. His situation did not change at all. However, during this moment of distraction, the shock waves of the Thunder Flame Devil's attack struck Tuoba Yun, shaking his soul and making his chi and blood surge. Damn it! Qinyu felt helpless. The more anxious he became, the more chaotic he became. He was about to deal with the Thunder Flame Devil, but it ended up injuring him instead. Brother Tuoba, save me! The Emperor Dragon sword flew out of Qinyu's hand. Frightened out of his wits, he called out loudly. Resolving the mundane. Regardless of whether Tuoba Yun decided to make a move or not, Xiaochen did not intend to let Qinyu live. Even if Xiaochen had to endure one of Tuoba Yun's attacks, he had to kill this person today. Since the mundane was resolved, it was eternal. Heavenly Slayer released an eternal and inextinguishable saber light. Xiaochen remained expressionless as he turned into an ancient Buddhist venerate. He had transformed into an ancient Buddha, and the 7 emotions and 6 sensory pleasures had all vanished. All his obsession was in this saber strike. Die. After losing the Emperor Dragon Sword and facing a killing move executed by a medial grade soul tool, even if he had 9 lives, he would not be able to survive. The instant the saber light chopped down, Qinyu's defenses shattered layer by layer. Dissatisfaction filled Qinyu's face, and horror filled his eyes. However, he could not do anything, only watch as the saber descended. The saber completely shattered Qinyu's physical body and soul. Xiaochen sheathed his saber and unhurriedly picked up the Emperor Dragon Sword replica, and the jade strip containing the dragon essence the two left behind. Kasie. At this moment, the Thunder Flame Devil finally died at Tuoba Yun's hands. Tuoba Yun grabbed a primal chaos pearl flickering with lightning and flame. It was very difficult for the Thunder Flame Devil and the Flame Devil to merge. Furthermore, they merged so perfectly. The Thunder Flame Devil left behind was definitely a supreme treasure. After Xiao Chen put away the Emperor Dragon Sword and the Jade Strip, he happened to meet the eyes of Tuoba Yun, who had turned around. There was no fear in Tuoba Yun's eyes at all, only calmness. It was like killing 2 four-veined sovereign emperors was nothing to be proud of in Xiao Chen's eyes. There was no joy or sorrow, just calmness. Tuoba Yun felt shocked in his heart. What a terrifying mental state. Fortunately, he did not take the risk to save Qin Yu earlier. Otherwise, if he had been severely injured by the Thunder Flame Devil's counterattack before its death, it would have been very difficult for him to face this youth. However, now, Tuoba Yun no longer had any worries. No matter how stunning the other party was, he had no chance of victory before his deep cultivation. Furthermore, Tuoba Yun still had many trump cards that he had not used yet. Earlier, you had the chance to attack me, Tuoba Yun said indifferently, not in a rush to attack. Tuoba Yun did not rush to make a move. At the same time, he calmly observed every detail of Xiao Chen's body. Tuoba Yun was referring to the instant Xiao Chen killed Qin Yu, before he finished off the Thunder Flame Devil. However, Xiao Chen did not grasp this excellent opportunity. Instead, he went to pick up the Emperor Dragon Sword, and the Jade Strip the two left behind. There is no need. You have been holding back. Even though you decided to quickly kill the Thunder Flame Devil, you still have trump cards that you have not used. If I make a move, I will instantly suffer a lightning-quick strike from you. As a 2-vein sovereign emperor, I cannot endure a peak strike from a 5-vein sovereign emperor. Xiao Chen spoke with a calm expression, showing no openings. Tuoba Yun's expression changed slightly as he said coldly, "Since you know that you cannot defeat me, why are you still not scramming?" "Is that so? I did not say that. Naturally, I am not leaving because I want the Thunder Flame inheritance. You are very naive to think that you can monopolize it." Xiao Chen saw through the other party's thoughts, revealing a mocking expression. The instant Xiao Chen spoke, he opened his right hand, and a scarlet rose slowly bloomed on his palm. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's peak 4th layer Ice Dao domain instantly spread out. As snowflakes drifted down, a chill assaulted him. It's not over yet. The instant the snowflakes landed, resplendent electricity burst out of Xiao Chen's body. The lightning patterns on his alloy dragon armor lit up. With the support of the alloy dragon armor, Xiao Chen's peak 5th layer Thunder Dao domain broke through 2 layers, reaching a startling 7th layer Dao Might. Ice and lightning layered over each other. His Dao Might soared again, approaching the 9th layer. The instant Xiao Chen opened his palm, his aura soared. He was no weaker than Tuoba Yun, even slightly stronger. "Come, let me see what ability you have to make me scram." Fighting spirit blazed in Xiao Chen's eyes. He remained calm as he stared at Tuoba Yun, taking the initiative to challenge him. Chapter 2288. Come, let me see what ability you have to make me scram. The calm expression in Xiao Chen's eyes and his calmness enraged Tuoba Yun. Since when did a junior dare to be so arrogant before him? 4th layer Ice Dao domain, 6th layer Thunder Dao domain, pretty good fusion. However, you are too naive if you think that you can fight me with this. I'll show you what a 5-vein sovereign emperor is. Tuoba Yun felt like his dignity was being challenged. If he could endure at this moment, he would be letting down his heart of the martial Dao. Boom. Right after Tuoba Yun spoke, 5 rings of light burst out behind him. Each ring of light represented a divine vein. Furthermore, these rings of light were dense and vast, giving off an ancient feeling of being one with the heavens. This fully revealed Tuoba Yun's deep cultivation. This showed that Tuoba Yun's divine energy was not something an ordinary sovereign emperor could compare to. Like Xiao Chen, Tuoba Yun had used up a lot of resources to refine it several times. His cultivation technique might not be as good as the 10,000 Dragons art. However, given the Heavenly Wolf Empire's accumulations, it should not be too far off. Tuoba Yun came from an empire's royal clan, had outstanding talent, a strong bloodline, abundant resources. It was no exaggeration to label Tuoba Yun with all these things. Tuoba Yun was the kind of outstanding talent that was born with a higher starting point than others, and could persist in bitter cultivation. With hundreds of years of accumulation, even without any fortuitous encounters, such a person would be much stronger than an ordinary four-veined sovereign emperor. Bang! Vast divine energy surged like the sea, giving Tuoba Yun a strong aura. After he snorted coldly, he brought out his Thunder Dao domain as well. Tuoba Yun's Thunder Dao domain was only at the 5th layer. However, with the support of his divine energy, it was no weaker than Xiao Chen's. A strong wind howled, accompanied by thunder. Crack! Crack! Tuoba Yun's aura surged out like a surging wave. Just the shock waves blasted the many thunder devils and flame devils in the area into pieces. What a strong emperor's might! Withdraw, Xiaochen said softly as he withdrew the 2 Dao domains that he radiated. When the other party's overwhelming aura arrived, Xiaochen punched out. Lightning and ice surged. Xiaochen broke a hole in his opponent's momentum. Moving like a dragon, Xiaochen leaped out of the opening and dodged the attack. This is just the beginning, kid. When Tuoba Yun saw that Xiaochen did not dare to clash head-on with Xiaochen, he smiled coldly and filled the entire space with his Dao domain. 5 light wheels flickered behind him as he closed in on Xiaochen and slammed his palm down. Roar! The moment he thrust out his palm, the 5 light wheels behind him condensed into a howling white wolf. Heavenly Wolf shatters the sun. Supreme Dragon Fist, raging at the unfair heaven. Xiaochen did not show any fear in the face of danger. He circulated the 10,000 dragons art, and dragons emerged from his divine energy. Boundless divine energy turned into raging flames that blasted out. Bang! Bang! Immediately, thousands of dragon images leaped out of Xiaochen's fist light, forcefully blocking Tuoba Yun's attack. Die! Tuoba Yun revealed a sinister smile. The instant Xiaochen's attack came into contact, he immediately changed his move. After a feint, he clenched his left hand into a fist and punched at Xiaochen's chest. You are still too inexperienced to fight me. This is my true killing move. Dang! When the fist light landed on the alloy dragon armor, it produced a loud sound as if it had struck a metal mountain. Electric patterns flickered on the alloy dragon armor, looking dazzling. Blue Dragon War Body, awaken! Xiaochen shouted and activated the divine dragon body tempering art. His body awakened inside the alloy dragon armor, and the blue dragon war body materialized a layer of inner armor, negating most of the force from Tuoba Yun's punch. Candle Dragon Eyes. The lantern flames in Xiaochen's eyes flickered, and the icy demonic flame instantly landed on Tuoba Yun's body, burning fiercely. Whoosh! Tuoba Yun grunted and quickly retreated. Electric light flashed in his body. Then he released a strand of extreme electric light from his body. Tuoba Yun used a large amount of divine energy to force out the thousands of icy flames. After suffering a small loss, Tuoba Yun felt enraged. He roared. Heavenly Wolf swallowing the moon. The light wheels of the 5 divine veins formed a huge heavenly wolf. It opened its huge mouth and leaped out, heading for Xiaochen. That huge mouth was boundlessly vast. It could swallow a river, the setting sun, the stars and the bright moon. Taiji Yinyang flame diagram. Xiaochen's figure moved like the cool breeze, moving up and down. As he waved his hand, a painting unfurled. Bang! It was a ferocious dog that dared to swallow the sun and the moon. When it crashed into the painting, it was like a ferocious beast crashing into a steel plate, knocked back. One painting separated life and death. No matter how much you swallow the moon, what can you do to me? What the heck? Blood leaked out of a corner of Tuoba Yun's mouth. He felt an incredible toothache. Earlier, the heavenly wolf was connected to his soul. When Tuoba Yun crashed into the Taiji Yinyang flame diagram, he felt like an ordinary person crashing into a steel plate. The pain made him grimace and look miserable. Tuoba Yun tumbled a few times in the air. When he tried to see the Taiji Yinyang flame diagram clearly, he discovered that Xiaochen had already withdrawn it. Thunder Monarch Spear. Xiaochen opened his palm. With the support of the Thunder Dao domain, The five-element divine lightning formed a short spear shining with bright light. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The many Thunder Monarch spears in Xiao Chen's hand shot out like arrows. As Xiao Chen executed the divine firmament 9 variations, the Thunder Monarch spears formed by the five-element divine lightning covered the place. When the spears landed on the wall with restrictions, they stabbed deep into it, creating spiderweb-like cracks. After suffering repeated setbacks in his attacks, he suddenly faced such a thunderous attack that covered the sky and covered the earth. Tuoba Yun wanted to dodge, but he could not. Several Thunder Monarch spears stabbed him. Electric light exploded, causing Tuoba Yun to cry out in pain. Although Tuoba Yun looked miserable, he was not truly severely injured. After all, he still had his vast cultivation as a 5-vein sovereign emperor. If it were another 3-vein sovereign emperor, one spear strike would have killed him, scattering his soul. Such torture nearly drove Tuoba Yun crazy. He wanted to execute a killing move several times to fight to the death with Xiao Chen. However, he discovered that Xiao Chen moved around. Aside from leaving behind purple electric marks, he could not determine his true body. Damn it! If you have the guts, stop hiding. Tuoba Yun roared as he shattered the Thunder Monarch spears, flustered and exasperated. As you wish. Thousands of electric images gathered in the air. The instant Xiao Chen revealed his true body, he drew the soul weapon, Heavenly Slayer. Mahamaya Abstinence Violation Saber, entering hell. Xiao Chen used a medial-grade soul tool to execute the powerful killing move, entering hell. In that instant, an Azura hell descended upon the world. Xiao Chen held a hellish evil dragon materialized by Heavenly Slayer as it descended, wanting to swallow up the world. Fuck. The might of the world breaking and hell descending truly startled Tuoba Yun. He couldn't help but curse. With a wave of his hand, he summoned a wolf-tooth mace with sharp saw-teeth that flickered with a black light. He used it to meet Xiao Chen's saber. As the light spread out, all sorts of mysterious phenomena shattered. The entire space turned hazy. When everything vanished, Xiao Chen stood in the air, clad in the alloy dragon armor, and carrying the tyrant saber on his back. Tuoba Yun stood on the ground, holding the mace glowing with dark light. He panted heavily as he looked helplessly at the calm and collected Xiao Chen in the air. He felt that he was clearly stronger than the other party, but he was at a disadvantage, unable to hurt the other party at all. Instead, he ended up in a sorry state, covered in injuries. Tuoba Yun felt helpless. I give up. Let's do it this way. You and I will jointly obtain this Thunder Flame inheritance, but I want 70% because I was the one who killed that Thunder Flame devil. Tuoba Yun said coldly as he looked at Xiao Chen. Sure. Give me the Thunder Flame Pearl, and you can get 70%. Xiao Chen said softly with a calm expression. Scram. In your dreams. This is a rare primal chaos pearl. 60-40 then. I will get 60%, and you get 40. Otherwise there is no need to discuss it. You can continue trying and see if you can injure me. Xiao Chen's expression did not change, appearing somewhat cold and inhumane. 60-40, you get 60%, and I get 40. Tuoba Yun's heart crumbled. Since when could a 2-vein sovereign emperor say such things to him in such a righteous and confident manner? However, when Tuoba Yun saw Xiao Chen's cold expression, he sighed in his heart. If I continue fighting, I might not gain an advantage. In any case, I already obtained the Thunder Flame Pearl. I'll just leave it at this for now. After consoling himself, Tuoba Yun said after some thought, all right, I agree. Open a path. Xiao Chen pointed to the depths of the inheritance, at the final bronze door with restrictions. That's it for now. In the end, this Tuoba Yun was a 5-vein sovereign emperor. Although Xiao Chen did not fear the other party, it would be hard for him to truly kill the other party. The ancient Yin Emperor tomb had just begun. There was no need to take such a risk. It was already sufficient for Xiao Chen to gain some advantage over the other party. One should never let greed blind one's heart. Tuoba Yun, who was holding his mace, felt very sullen. He felt that he was an expert of the Heavenly Wolf Empire's royal family. He felt like a bona fide expert of the Heavenly Wolf Empire's royal clan, but before Xiao Chen, he was like a dog being ordered around. Chapter 2289. In the center of the ancient bronze gate was a mysterious lightning pattern. Tuoba Yin stepped forward and smashed the door with his mace without saying a word. Xiao Chen's spiked club was a peak inferior grade soul tool, even stronger than Qin Liang's false emperor dragon sword. The bronze door shattered, stirring up a cloud of dust. Goo goo. At the same time, a strange sound rang out, and endless black armored insects surged out like a wave. Scarab. Xiao Chen and Tuoba Yin both recognized this ferocious beast. It was an ancient wondrous insect that was close to a consummate technique in the Great Thousand Realms. It could chew on divine materials, swallow soul treasures, and spit out poison. It was impervious to fire and water, and weapons would find it hard to injure it. The two's expressions changed slightly. Not daring to be careless, they quickly dodged. Oh my god! Why are there so many sacred beetles? I can't go in. Tuoba Yun sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw the sacred beetles pouring out of the entrance like waves. Clang clang clang. The two of them were naturally unwilling to give up, so they each took action to kill the sacred beetles. It was barely effective and could only push him back, not kill him in one strike. At this rate, if he didn't leave, he might even fall into it and die a horrible death. Tuoba Yun frowned heavily as he observed Xiao Chen's expression, trying to figure something out. The sudden situation left him at a loss as to what to do. He wanted to see if Xiao Chen had any way to deal with these sacred beetles. However, he noticed that the other party's complexion was slightly unsightly, even worse than the others. For some reason, Tuoba Yun felt joy in his heart when he saw Xiao Chen struggling so much. In the end, you are just a too-vain sovereign emperor. Tuoba Yun, I will leave first. This inheritance is yours. It was more important to stay alive. It was not easy to deal with these great desolate mutants. Even with all his martial techniques and divine weapons, he felt helpless, his killing power limited. What was even more terrifying was that the sacred beetles were still pouring out of the broken gate and letting out strange cries. Fuck! Seeing Xiao Chen vanish right after he spoke, Tuoba Yin cursed. Ah! This brat really wanted to kill him. Hurry up and leave. Boom boom boom. Tuoba Yun brandished the dark spiked mace in his hand and roared. Then, he forcefully carved out a path and fled. After a while, he confirmed that Tuoba Yun had truly left. A figure slowly appeared in the darkness. Xiao Chen took off the death god mask and reappeared. So he hadn't gone far at all. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. This sudden change had helped him a lot. Demon Blood Vulture. Xiao Chen shouted, and a scarlet light flashed. The demon blood vulture covered in scarlet flames appeared. Roar. It seemed to have endured for a long time. The moment it was summoned, it opened its mouth. Suddenly, a blood-colored vortex appeared in his mouth. It was like a black hole, devouring the desolate era's strange species. The sacred beetles, which were initially problematic for Xiao Chen and Tuoba Yun, became a delicacy for the demon blood vulture. Furthermore, it was an extremely rare species of the Great Thousand Worlds, the sacred beetle. Crunch! Crunch! The demon blood vulture chewed continuously as it swallowed, giving off crunching sounds. Gee. How awesome! How awesome! I feel that I can make another breakthrough this time. The demon blood vulture appeared very excited as it did its best to devour these sacred beetles. The scarlet flames on its body burned fiercely, looking like holy flames. With the demon blood vulture here, these sacred beetles were no problem for Xiao Chen. Furthermore, he could use this to shake off Tuoba Yun, the old fogey. This was simply great. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he entered the back of the ancient bronze doors. Boom! The berserk thunder flames turned into waves that flowed like water, filling this space. What delighted Xiao Chen was that these thunder flames contained incredibly pure dragon essence. It looked like the Thunder Flame inheritance was here. Congratulations, you have successfully passed my test. A portion of the flowing thunder flames formed a figure, the previous owner of this place. Like the white-clad Yen Emperor that Xiao Chen came into contact with before, this person was a strand of remnant soul that managed the inheritance here. Xiao Chen nodded slightly and did not say anything, waiting for this person to continue. You only grasped the Thunder Great Tao and cannot obtain my entire inheritance, only half. the remnant soul said softly as it sized up Xiaochen. Xiaochen did not feel surprised. This was just like the previous ice inheritance. If not for that person's appetite, he would not have obtained the entire inheritance. Clearly, the owner of this inheritance would have a similar request. I'm not interested. Many thanks, Senior. Xiaochen did not argue. He just accepted it calmly. Whoosh! The remnant soul formed hand seals with both hands, and resplendent electric light burst out from its 10 fingers. It flowed like water, looking very beautiful. What pure thunder great Tao energy! Xiaochen felt startled. This thunder great Tao energy was as pure as origin liquid, truly astonishing. After forming the hand seals, the remnant soul took out a jade bottle and poured in the purple electric liquid. Then it handed it to Xiaochen. How heavy! Xiaochen could not help sighing softly as he received the bottle. This is the Thunder Immortal Dew for you. It has the same effect as origin liquid, directly improving your Thunder Great Tao. After the remnant soul finished speaking, it pointed with one hand and handed a secret manual to Xiaochen. After some thought, it said, "This is the Thunder Flame art that I created myself. Anyone who passes the test will obtain it." Thunder Flame art. Xiaochen felt somewhat bored. If only it were the Thunder Ice art. There is one last inheritance treasure for you. The Great Desolate Aeon Fruit. Heavenly Cloud Fruit. After the remnant soul handed the brocade box to Xiaochen, it vanished, turning into lightning and flames that merged into the water like thunder flame. Xiaochen was not in a rush to leave. He took out a jade strip and started collecting the dragon essence that was everywhere. At the same time, Tuoba Yin rushed back with a depressed expression. This trip was incredibly frustrating, especially when he could not do anything to Xiaochen at the end. Furthermore, Xiaochen ordered him around like a dog. Damn it! Don't let me catch that brat. That's not right. I have been walking for so long, but I do not sense any aura left behind by that brat. Tuoba Yin was a wily old fox. He suddenly came to a realization and noticed that something was wrong. After all, Xiaochen was a two-veined sovereign emperor. Unless he intentionally hid, he should have left behind some aura. Furthermore, Tuoba Yin had fought with Xiaochen before and was very familiar with his aura. Dong, dong, dong. Just as Tuoba Yin felt uncertain and wondered if he should go back to take a look, footsteps came from ahead. Tuoba Yin immediately collected his thoughts and showed a cautious expression as he looked ahead with an unfathomable expression. In mere moments, 3 people appeared in Tuoba Yin's vision. The leader wore blue and white robes. He had a cold expression and a faint sword intent, exuding a pressing baleful aura. Brother Dao Yin. Tuoba Yin felt a chill as he unknowingly drew his spiked club. Tuoba Yin? The leader was the 8th prince's strongest guest, Dao Yin. Unexpectedly, Tuoba Yin met him here. Dao Yin clearly recognized Tuoba Yin, knowing that he was the 13th prince's strong subordinate. A murderous intent flashed in Dao Yan's heart. The 8th prince and the 13th prince were strong enemies. However, the murderous intent vanished in an instant. This was only the first round. The 8th prince and the 13th prince were far from fighting. Furthermore, the first prince was a common enemy. It was not good for the two to clash so early. Dao Yin smiled and said, "It looks like Brother Tuoba already took away this inheritance. We came here for nothing." Tuoba Yin was a 5-veined sovereign emperor with a great desolate Aeon bloodline. He was not someone a regular 5-veined sovereign emperor could compare to. Since Tuoba Yin made a move, there was no hope for this Thunder Flame inheritance. However, Tuoba Yin was alone. His companions had either died or left. Perhaps, with one glance, Tuoba Yin knew what Dao Yin was thinking. He said calmly, "Given the 8th prince and the 13th prince's alliance, if I obtain the inheritance, logically speaking, I should share some benefits with Brother Dao Yin. At least I won't make Brother Dao Yin come here for nothing." Dao Yin thought to himself, Tuoba Yin is very reasonable. This is for the best. This will not hurt the friendship and make me feel better. However, I did not obtain the inheritance of this place. I will explain this later. Right now, I just want to ask, along the way, did Brother Dao Yin see the Heavenly Alliance's Xiaochen? Tuoba Yun asked seriously as a bright light flickered in his eyes. Xiaochen. A murderous intent flashed in Dao Yan's eyes as he asked softly. Is he here? I did not see him. Damn it. This brat played me. Tuoba Yun's expression changed drastically when he heard that. Not bothering to explain, he turned and fled. Follow. Dao Yan's expression flickered as he quickly followed. Chapter 2290. The place where the Thunder Flame inheritance was. After the jade strip in Xiaochen's hand reached 3 dragon images, it stopped increasing. There was clearly still a lot of dragon essence in the water like Thunder Flame, but it could not increase. Perhaps that remnant soul could be controlled, and wanted to preserve the dragon essence for the next successor in the succession race. This is enough. The Thunder Flame inheritance was a peak superior grade inheritance. With some small tricks, Xiaochen managed to fool Tuoba Yun away and monopolize the treasures and resources of this place. This was already a great harvest. What else was there to be dissatisfied with? I nearly forgot. Xiaochen took out 2 jade strips from his storage ring. The jade strips were heavy, and they also contained incredibly vast dragon essence. These were left by Qin Yu and Qin Liang. Earlier, these two relied on their bloodline advantage to move about without fear with Tuoba Yun. After breaking through many inheritances, they clearly gained a lot. Whoosh! Xiaochen transferred the dragon essence in the 2 jade strips to his own jade strip. In that instant, his jade strip gave off a dazzling light. It was crystalline and resplendent. The dazzling light moved people's hearts. Another dragon image swam in the surroundings, causing Xiaochen to reveal a joyful expression. The further one progressed, the harder it was to collect the dragon images in the jade strips. This jade slip with 4 dragons was equivalent to 10 jade slips with only 1 dragon roar. With such a harvest in less than 10 days, Xiaochen's dragon essence definitely surpassed everyone else's. It's time to go. After putting away the jade strip, Xiaochen left the inheritance hall. Crack! The instant Xiaochen stepped out, the shattered bronze door reformed. Xiaochen entered deep thought as he stared at the mysterious thunder pattern in the center of the ancient bronze door for a while. Without any warning, Xiaochen attacked ferociously, striking the thunder pattern. Bang! Xiaochen bounced back. Interesting. Xiaochen was certain that the force of his strike was no weaker than Tuoba Yun's earlier strike. Since Xiaochen could not break the door again, it could only mean that the thunder pattern did not work earlier. Xiaochen gently stroked the thunder mark and closed his eyes. He could feel a strong and powerful force condensing within the thunder mark. Unable to understand it for the time being, Xiaochen took out the stone slab and copied the lightning pattern. If he thought about it in the future, he might be able to gain something. When Xiaochen turned around to look, the sacred beetles that were everywhere had disappeared without a trace. The demon blood vulture probably treated it as a great nourishing pill, and directly consumed it. In the center of the hall, a blood cocoon was burning fiercely, and a wave of divine might was faintly discernible. When he focused his gaze, there seemed to be the silhouette of an ancient vermilion bird at the center of the blood cocoon. It looks like the demon blood vulture had a pretty good harvest. When it wakes up again, it should be able to make a breakthrough. With a wave of his hand, Xiaochen placed the blood cocoon into his storage ring. Dong dong dong. Hurried footsteps approached from afar, and a figure appeared like a gust of wind. It was Tuoba Yun who had returned. You're really here. Tuoba Yun felt enraged. When he looked around, he saw the bronze doors behind Xiaochen recover. Tuoba Yun immediately felt so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. You bastard. To think that you dared to trick me, monopolizing the Thunder Flame inheritance. Xiaochen's expression did not change, ignoring the enraged Tuoba Yun. He sensed an even more terrifying aura behind him. Whoosh! Indeed, the moment Tuoba Yun finished speaking, Dao Yan appeared with the other 2 divine sword pavilion experts. Dao Yan. Xiaochen thought for a while and recalled this person. He had met this person once outside the palace. This was the strongest guest under the 8th Prince Wang Feng, the Divine Sword Pavilion's Vice Pavilion Master. The Divine Sword Pavilion expert who tried to assassinate Xiaochen in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion might be this person. What a coincidence! Brother Xiao, Unexpectedly we meet here," Dao Yan said sinisterly when he saw Xiaoqun, showing a smile that did not seem like a smile. When Tuoba Yun saw this scene, he could not help feeling nervous. Could this Xiaoqun be on good terms with Dao Yan? However, Tuoba Yun relaxed in the next moment. "Do you intend to give up on your own, or do you want me to let you go?" Dao Yan threatened in an indifferent tone. "It looks like you are definitely the Divine Sword Pavilion expert, who tried to assassinate me in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion back then." Xiaoqun showed a calm expression as he stared at Dao Yan. "Monarch Yu is one of my final disciples. As his master, it is not a big deal for me to seek justice for my disciple. However, I do not wish to dwell on these grudges. Hand over the Thunder Flame inheritance and the jade strip in your hand, and I can let you off for now." Strength reigned supreme in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. Dao Yan did not have any qualms, so he could not be bothered to keep up the pretense. "Sorry, I'm afraid I cannot agree to that." "Die then." Dao Yan snorted coldly, and a strand of sword qi appeared out of nowhere, shooting at Xiaoqun. Whoosh! In that instant, Xiaoqun turned into an ice sculpture, maintaining his earlier posture, not moving at all. Everywhere the sword qi passed, a pillar of ice condensed, looking like it would never melt. Tuoba Yun's expression changed dramatically in shock. 10th layer Dao domain, ice small world. To think that this Dao Yin comprehended the ice Dao domain to the 10th layer. The flowing shadows turned into ice, never melting. Dao Yin frowned slightly. Then he looked around and discovered Xiaoqun in a different direction. The one that froze earlier was the afterimage that Xiaoqun left behind. Without saying anything, Dao Yin flicked his finger. More than 1,000 sword images with a chilling aura shot out from behind him, looking like flowing light. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiaoqun's figure turned illusory, continuously flickering. The many afterimages got sealed in ice. In mere moments, hundreds of afterimages were sealed in ice in the hall. The ice pillars formed by the sword images crisscrossed in the air, looking very scary. Crack! Xiaoqun could not dodge in time. In the end, a strand of sword qi struck him. The cold penetrated the dragon armor and injured his physical body. Fortunately, Xiaoqun had awakened his blue dragon divine body once, so he would not die instantly. As Xiaoqun looked at the frost-encroaching alloy dragon armor, he did not get flustered or surprised. While the other party was talking to him, he had already spread his small world of ice soundlessly throughout this space. It was only a matter of time before Xiaoqun got struck when fighting in this small world. Dao Yan's cultivation was only one grade higher than Tuoba Yun's. However, the combat prowess that he displayed was worlds apart. A 10th layer Dao domain and an ice small world could indeed inspire despair. You can only blame your greed for meeting me so early, overestimating yourself and wanting to monopolize a superior grade inheritance. I'll give you one last chance. Are you going to give me the Thunder Flame inheritance or not? Dao Yan threatened again when he saw that he had already injured Xiaoqun. Dao Yan feared that Xiaoqun would give up and leave the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. If that happened, he would not gain any benefits at all. Overestimating myself? I have many flaws, but I have never been arrogant. Dao Yan, you can't scare me. Xiaoqun's body trembled. As electric light flickered, he scattered the frost on his body. The divine lightning talisman in his palm slowly appeared under the sea in his soul pool. The talisman formed by the immortal epic's 10,000 tribulation divine lightning revealed a tip of the iceberg. With just a tip, the strongest divine lightning of the previous epic burst out with horrifying lightning-attributed energy. Boom! The divine lightning talisman in Xiaoqun's palm soared into the sky and instantly broke Dao Yan's small world. Then it did not lose momentum. As boundless electric light flashed, the talisman broke the small world of the Thunder Flame inheritance. Kasie, Kai. In that instant, chaos reigned. Dao Yan's ice small world shook. The eternal ice pillars in the air shattered, turning into a terrifying storm of ice and snow wreaking havoc. Xiaoqun's figure flashed, and he leaped up through the hole the divine lightning talisman broke. You want to leave? It's not that easy. The sudden situation startled Dao Yan. He gave chase with a ferocious roar. Fiendish saber inheritance, water droplet breaking the firmament. Saber intent gathered in Xiao Chen's entire body. He flicked his finger, and a water droplet shot out. This water droplet looked unremarkable amid the many berserk ice storms. The raging Dao Yan did not notice it. He only had eyes for Xiao Chen. Bang! This water droplet landed silently on Dao Yan's chest, and the water droplet exploded. Immediately, an unparalleled berserk saber intent shook the entire palace. Before the saber intent that spread out, the surrounding ice storms only lasted for a moment before shattering into ice shards. Dao Yan vomited blood and fell heavily to the ground, breaking the restrictions there. Amidst the rumbling, a huge pit appeared in the ground, and a terrifying, water-like thunder flame crazily overflowed. Dao Yan held his hand over his chest. Then he looked at his hand at the blood on it. Dao Yan found it unbelievable that Xiao Chen managed to injure him. Furthermore, the injuries were not light. Senior brother, the inheritance's self-destruct restriction has been activated. We have to leave quickly. The expressions of Dao Yan's two junior brothers changed drastically as they looked at the thunder flames scattering everywhere. As for Tuoba Yun, the saber intent had knocked him back. When he saw the scattered thunder flames, he fled in fright. Damn it! However, Dao Yan seemed to have gone mad. He roared with all his might, and his fine black hair instantly turned snow white. A boundless cold light burst out of Dao Yan's body. Whoosh! 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 In the next moment, the thunder flames that even Tuoba Yun found horrifying were sealed in ice. If someone looked from outside, the entire palace would be covered in frost. The endless lightning bolts in the sky looked like spears sealed in ice. This startled the two from the Divine Sword Pavilion. They had not expected their senior brother's true strength to be so strong. Xiao Chen, don't let me see you again, Dao Yan said through clenched teeth with a sullen expression, enunciating every word. However, no matter how sullen or furious Dao Yan felt, Xiao Chen had already left with the Thunder Flame inheritance. Chapter 2291. With the Divine Lightning Talisman supporting his Thunder Dao domain, Xiao Chen broke through two small worlds and left the Inheritance Palace. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flickered, and he left a purple lightning mark in the air as he quickly flew away. An hour later, after confirming that no one was chasing after him, Xiao Chen lightly tapped the air and landed steadily like a swallow. Maintaining high-intensity flight in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb drained divine energy. Since there was no longer any threat, there was naturally no need to waste divine essence. The ground was a wasteland, with sporadic ferocious beasts moving about. Occasionally, some hanger-ons could be seen searching for inheritances in the distance. This place could be considered safe. So. Rising and falling, Xiao Chen leaped continuously, and after a while, he landed on a barren mountain. He used his divine sense to scan the surroundings, and after confirming it carefully, he set up a simple camouflage array according to the surrounding environment. At this point, Xiao Chen was completely relieved. Lightning flashed, and the alloy dragon armor turned into a mercury-like flowing light that entered the gloves. Looking at the wound on his chest that had yet to heal, Xiao Chen frowned slightly. A sovereign emperor, who condensed a 10th-layer Dao domain, was far stronger than Xiao Chen imagined. One strand of sword chi equaled a peak strike from a regular person. With the 10th-layer Dao domain, one's great Dao energy already underwent a qualitative change. Without reaching that level, it would be hard for others to truly understand the horrifying might of a 10th-layer Dao domain. Unfortunately, it became increasingly difficult to raise one's Dao domain. Dao Yan could be considered extremely talented. He had an exceptional understanding of the Ice Dao, but he had spent more than 300 years before he had a major breakthrough. Without a great fortuitous encounter, Xiao Chen wanted to advance to the 10th-layer Dao domain and form a small world. He could only rely on time 100 years, 1,000 years to slowly grind and slowly comprehend. However, there would be no more than 3 experts like Dao Yan in the entire ancient Yin Emperor tomb. Let's take a look at the harvest first. A great desolate Yin heavenly essence fruit, a bottle of lightning immortal dew, and a peak divine vein cultivation technique, thunder flame art. Heavenly origin fruit. The pure white heaven origin fruit was adorned with green leaves. Its radiance was reserved, and it contained an incomparably surging spiritual energy. However, not a single trace of it leaked out. When Xiaochen sent his spiritual sense into the fruit, he found that there was a universe inside. It was enormous and vast, and traces of the passage of time could be seen everywhere. It was crystalline, translucent, and suffused with a pure primordial aura. Xiaochen vaguely sensed that this mutated fruit could help him break through to peak two-vein sovereign emperor. This might even allow his 10,000 dragons art to break through to the third layer. The great desolate Yin Qi contained in it was the key to the 10,000 dragons art's breakthrough. The cultivation of the 10,000 dragons art sought the source, reversing the bloodline to its ancestor, improving one's bloodline step by step. After breaking through to the fifth layer, it could be upgraded to the ancestral dragon art. After withdrawing his spiritual sense, Xiaochen thought to himself, what a pity. If the third palace master had refined this into a medicinal pill, he would have been able to perfectly display its medicinal properties. It would be a waste to refine it on the spot. However, Xiaochen had no choice. If he wanted to survive in this ancient Yin emperor tomb, he had to continuously strengthen himself. Especially after encountering Dao Yan, it made Xiaochen feel that his own strength was insufficient. He didn't want to encounter the other party again, and be forced to go far away. Outsiders might think that to be able to escape from Daoshuan's hands was an incredible thing. However, in Xiaochen's eyes, it was not worth being proud of at all. Xiaochen stopped hesitating, and directly swallowed the heavenly yuan fruit. The mutated fruit melted in his mouth, and vast spiritual energy erupted wildly, surging in his body like a raging river. If one's cultivation was insufficient, one's physical body would not be strong enough. The instant one swallowed this fruit, one's body would explode, dying on the spot. Xiaochen had the blue dragon divine body and dual cultivated divine and demonic. Naturally, he did not fear this. Xiaochen calmly sensed the explosive energy coming from the heavenly yuan fruit. He circulated the 10,000 dragons art calmly, circulating the 10,000 dragons art. As the 10,000 dragons art circulated, the spiritual energy and great desolate Yin Qi in the mutated fruit entered Xiaochen's divine energy, see through his two divine veins. Boom! The instant the spiritual energy from the heavenly yuan fruit landed, the raging sea surged, and the rocks shattered. Shocking waves surged in this divine energy sea. A horrifying aura erupted from Xiaochen's body. Crack! A certain shackle in Xiaochen's body broke, and a brand new divine vein appeared in his body. Xiaochen should have broken through back at the Black Mountain Range. Now he finally became a three-vein sovereign emperor. However, the spiritual energy and great desolate Yin Qi in the heavenly yuan fruit did not stop, continuing to pour in. Xiaochen held his breath and focused, not daring to relax at all. Xiaochen's breakthrough in cultivation was expected. He had long since broken through the shackles of a two-vein sovereign emperor. Now it was just a matter of time. The most important thing was the 10,000 dragons art's breakthrough. This was the crux. If Xiaochen did not grasp this opportunity, he might not find another opportunity to make a breakthrough in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. As Xiaochen refined the mutated fruit, the depressed Tuoba Yin returned to the 13th prince's side. Tuoba Yin, you came back at a good time. What happened to my two uncles? The dragon god crown prince Qin Ming immediately asked when he saw Tuoba Yin. They were both royal members of the golden dragon race, so their bloodlines were connected. Qin Ming vaguely sensed that something had happened to his two uncles. Seeing that only Tuoba Yin returned, Qin Ming's expression immediately turned somewhat gloomy. Sorry, brother Qin Yu and brother Qin Liang died at Xiaochen's hands. Tuoba Yin was rather magnanimous. The two's deaths did not have much to do with him. As for Tuoba Yin's agreement with Xiaochen, it was a temporary cooperation after the two died. It was not a big mistake. Aside from this matter, he told Qin Ming everything else in detail. They died just like that? My two uncles were four-vein sovereign emperors. Furthermore, they had the Emperor Dragon Sword. Even if they could not defeat Xiaochen, they should not have died. Clearly, Qin Ming had not expected Tuoba Yin to bring him the worst-case scenario. What's wrong? You don't believe me? Tuoba Yin felt very depressed in the first place. When he saw Qin Ming's attitude, he immediately felt upset. You are the Dragon God Crown Prince and hold a noble status in the Divine Dragon Empire. However, I am a member of the Heavenly Wolf Empire's royal clan. You cannot control me. Qin Ming stared at Tuoba Yin with a sullen expression. Then, the pressure of a golden emperor dragon pressed over. This fellow, Tuoba Yin felt some pressure, feeling incredibly shocked in his heart. He had not expected Qin Ming to be so young. Unexpectedly, Qin Ming possessed such a terrifying dragon might at such a young age. Sikong Shu, who was dressed in a straw raincoat, frowned and said, Brother Tuoba should be telling the truth. Xiaochun? Xiaochun did not dare to openly attack him in Yen City. However, he will not be able to be arrogant in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. The 13th Prince Wang Yi smiled faintly. After some thought he said, Brother Qin, there's no need to get angry. I'll help you take revenge. Qin Ming startled to his senses. He knew that this was not the time to get angry. Sorry, Big Brother Tuoba offended me earlier. Your Highness, there is no need to mobilize so many people for such a small matter. I can deal with it myself. It's just a small matter. In the end, I am somewhat responsible for Qin Yu and Qin Liang's deaths. Tuoba Yin released his bated breath and apologized when he saw the situation. However, Wang Yi did not intend to leave the matter at that. He smiled and said, That's not the case. Brother Qin, think about it. Is there a chance to kill him after we leave the ancient Yin Emperor tomb? Qin Ming thought to himself as he looked around. It would be very difficult to kill Xiaochun outside. This was clear from the 2 previous assassinations that failed. Your Highness, do you have a good plan? It is not easy to find a person in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. Seeing Wang Yi's solemn and confident look, Qin Ming took the opportunity to ask. Let's hear what this person has to say. Wang Yi took 2 steps forward and said, It is not easy to find guests, but it is easy to find a prince. Qin Ming's eyes lit up in understanding. Whether the princes drew their Yin imperial swords in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb or not, they all contained vast luck. They all contained vast amounts of dragon luck, which was clearly different from ordinary guests. As long as we find the 9th prince, we don't have to worry about Xiaochun not showing up. At that time, Qin Ming will not have a chance to make a move. The moment Wang Yi said that, Bai Yunfei and Xiahozun, who were beside Qin Ming, felt excited. Such a plan was indeed an opportunity to force Xiaochun to show up. Wang Yi continued. Even if Xiaochun does not show up, it does not matter. We can use this opportunity to destroy that Wang Yan and collect his dragon essence. Perhaps this was Wang Yi's true purpose. Qin Ming did not say anything. He, Bai Yunfei, and the others all looked at Sikong Shu. This plan is feasible. Sikong Shu slowly opened his mouth and only said 4 words. Chapter 2292. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed in the succession race in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. The fierce competition had reached a white-hot stage. After the first round, 1/3 of the princes would be eliminated. Even if one had no intention of becoming the crown prince, surviving a few more rounds would increase their chances of obtaining valuable treasures in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. Obviously, no one was willing to be eliminated in the first round. In the ancient pine forest, the 9th Prince Wang Yan, the heavenly book scholar, Hao Kai, and Senior Feng worked together, calculating the dragon essence they collected. Your Highness, the dragon essence we've collected is enough to last us through this round. The heavenly book scholar took inventory of the dragon essence the others collected. Wang Yan nodded. In that case, there is no need to take too many risks in the remaining time. 9th Prince, I felt that something is wrong for the past few days. There are always people approaching us in the dark, as if they are purposely searching for us. Elder Feng's expression was grave, and worry could be seen on his face. The Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai said calmly, I sensed it as well. However, Senior Feng's attainments in the Wind Great Dao are pretty good. It seems like he managed to shake off these people. I'm just lucky. With such repeated searches, it's only a matter of time before I'm exposed. Elder Feng did not try to claim credit for himself. Instead, he spoke honestly. Wang Yan narrowed his eyes slightly as he said, I also sensed it. Hence, I did not want to compete for the inheritance for the rest of the time. To be safe, we should find a secluded place and hide for a while. Changji, what do you think? When the Heavenly Book scholar saw that Xiaochen was asking him, he replied calmly, I still do not know what the situation is. I also do not know who the enemy is. It is best to remain still. Then it's settled. After the 9th Prince Wang Yan made up his mind, he asked, right now, which guests are still in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb? The Heavenly Book scholar thought for a while before saying, something unexpected happened to several people. Right now only Xiao Sua, Qin Zhuolin Wu Meng, and the lone Xiaochen are still around. Your Highness, are you planning to summon them here? He had already sensed that someone was spying on him. Gathering these guests was undoubtedly the safest method. Unexpectedly, Wang Yan only asked casually and did not agree. There's no need. The fortuitous encounters in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb might change their lives. I haven't reached a critical juncture of life and death, so there's no need to summon it back. Moreover, forcefully summoning it back will consume a lot of dragon essence. Wang Yan glanced at the Heavenly Book scholar and said, I'll leave my safety to the three of you. Your Highness, please rest assured. Wang Yan had already sensed that a prince was secretly searching for him. However, he did not know who it was. He wasn't too nervous in his heart. He was rather calm, and had a trace of the calmness of a king. Somewhere on a desolate mountain in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, as Xiaochen refined the heaven essence fruit on the spot, the image of a blue dragon almost overlapped with his physical body. Around the blue dragon, the dragon roar rang out endlessly. This was the 10,000 dragons picture manifested with his own blue dragon as the leader. The great desolate Yin Qi surged in Xiaochen's body. The breakthrough of the 10,000 dragons art's second layer had already reached the crucial moment. All of a sudden, a strange phenomenon occurred. The great desolate Yin Qi from the heavenly Yuan fruit poured into the blue dragon. The originally faint dragon image gradually became more substantial. Azure light flared and dragon might soared. Boom! Aside from the blue dragon, the other 10,000 dragon images shattered, turning into drops of spiritual blood. The drops of spiritual blood looked like rain, hovering in the air. In the next moment, the thousands of drops of spiritual blood entered the only remaining azure dragon image. The faint dragon image slowly turned solid and lifelike, looking like it came to life and filled with spirituality. An ancient great desolate Aeon aura transcended time and space, descending from the distant past to the present. There seemed to be an ancient dragon domain behind Xiaochen, hidden in heavy fog. The group of dragons roared. 10,000 dragons roared. The moment he opened his eyes, the instant Xiaochen opened his eyes, the fog scattered, and a blue dragon's head peeked out. The dragon's eyes stared at Xiaochen. If anyone else were here, they would feel heavy pressure. Xiaochen vaguely felt a force calling out to him. The blue dragon bloodline buried deep in Xiaochen's body awakened. A hot berserk energy spread throughout his body, making his bloodline as hot as lava. Amid the call of that ancient dragon voice, Xiaochen's dragon blood surged, burning fiercely. Xiaochen could no longer hold back. He opened his eyes and saw the sky shattering. In that shattered corner, Xiaochen's vision seemed to transcend time and space, seeing an ancient dragon nation. Dragons roared. 10,000 dragons roared. Berserk dragons filled the sky and the ground. The many living dragons materialized a mythical nation. Suddenly, one of the dragons raised its head from the sea of dragons. That dragon's gaze traveled from the past to the future, then met Xiaochen's eyes. Immediately, Xiaochen's heart trembled. The depths of his soul stirred, and his entire body trembled. Then he suddenly startled awake. Everything was normal. There was nothing. It was like everything from earlier was an illusion, fleeting, disappearing in the blink of an eye. However, that scene was simply too shocking. With just one look, it was imprinted in the depths of his soul. At this moment, Xiaochen seemed to understand why many of the dragon race seniors wanted to start a divine dragon dynasty. It was because the dragon race had a glorious history, once shining like the many stars in the sky, illuminating an era. Shaking his head, Xiaochen stopped thinking about the shock he just experienced. After returning to reality, Xiaochen muttered to himself. The 10,000 dragons art should have broken through to the third layer. However, the mental cultivation method for the third layer is missing, so I can't cultivate it for now. However, the change that it brings is beyond my expectations. 10,000 dragons picture. With a thought, a dragon picture appeared behind Xiaochen. However, this dragon picture was very different from before, completely different. Originally, it was a picture of the blue dragon, a vast picture of 10,000 dragons contending for the top. Now the vast background remained, but only the blue dragon remained. In the past, there were too many dragon images. Even the blue dragon was just a blurry silhouette, only a rough outline. Now the blue dragon's figure appeared clearly, down to the smallest detail. The dragon scales, dragon claws, and dragon spirit could be seen at a glance, without missing any details. The dragon's eyes had spirituality, and its charm was withdrawn. It was like a living blue dragon. Xiaochen smiled faintly and circulated the 10,000 dragons art. Then the picture immediately shattered. The blue dragon leaped out of the vast picture, looking like it had descended from ancient times as it circled around Xiaochen. Dragon might spread out from Xiaochen's body. This was the true divine might of the blue dragon from the ancient Great Desolate Aeon. The cultivation of the 10,000 dragons art traced its origins step by step, reversing one's bloodline and returning to one's ancestry. One could cultivate it with any dragon race bloodline. When one reached the third layer, one would materialize a divine dragon unique to one's bloodline. With one more step, the divine dragon would return to its ancestry and become a Great Desolate Aeon ancestor dragon. Xiaochen felt satisfied with the current divine dragon might. He said softly, "Given this, it will be much easier for me to execute the god-demon body unsealing technique." One heavenly essence fruit allowed Xiaochen to break through to 3-vein sovereign emperor, and the 10,000 dragons art to the third layer. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone, greatly improving his strength. After taking out the lightning immortal dew, Xiaochen did not think too much and poured it in. It was as that remnant soul said. This lightning immortal dew had a similar effect to origin liquid, pure and without any side effects. Xiaochen poured in 1 cubic meter of lightning immortal dew to strengthen his Dao domain. Then, Xiaochen felt his peak 5th layer thunder Dao domain expand at a visible rate. Then it suddenly erupted, breaking through peak 5th layer and advancing to the 6th layer. Xiaochen's cultivation technique, and Dao domain all made breakthroughs. Everything felt like a dream. However, it was not too exaggerated. After all, this was before he entered the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Xiaochen's cultivation technique, and Dao domain had already been stuck at bottlenecks for a long time. Now that his strength had made consecutive breakthroughs, it would not be easy for his strength to soar within a short period. There were so many benefits to monopolizing a superior grade inheritance that surprised Xiaochen. There was still the thunder flame art, which conflicted with his cultivation technique. So, Xiaochen did not intend to comprehend it. However, there was no harm in taking a look. The instant Xiaochen flipped open the title page, he frowned slightly, feeling stunned for a moment. The first thing that entered Xiaochen's eyes was a lightning pattern, exactly the same as the mysterious lightning pattern on the ancient bronze doors. As Xiaochen flipped through the pages, his expression turned increasingly grave. After a while, he suddenly closed the book. This lightning pattern was the outline of a seal called the Thundercloud Lock. One could grasp this seal and condense this lightning pattern only by grasping the Thunder Great Tao and the Fire Great Tao. I do not need to grasp this lightning pattern. However, since I understand the principles behind it, can it help me open that bronze door again? Xiaochen's eyes lit up as he thought of a possibility. I'll try it out first. Xiaochen immediately took action after thinking about it. He soared into the air and rushed back to the Thunder Flame inheritance. Chapter 2293. Xiaochen's strength soared. He advanced to 3-vein sovereign emperor. His Thunder Dao domain broke through to the 6th layer, his Ice domain reached the 4th layer, and his 10,000 dragons art broke through to the 3rd layer. Compared to when Xiaochen first entered the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, he could be said to have undergone a complete transformation, looking completely different. If Xiaochen fought Tuoba Yun again, he would not have to worry about severely injuring him, and could suppress him at will. As for someone like Dao Yin, he could fight boldly and bring out all his trump cards. It would be hard to say who would win or lose. His figure soared into the air. For hours later, he returned to the Thunder Flame inheritance. Then he fell in through the hole he made. Before the surrounding ice scattered, Dao Yin attacked in a rage before he left, sealing the berserk Thunder Flame in ice. In the main hall, many weird ice pillars were formed. Footprints covered the ground, turning the place into a mess. It was not hard to guess that during this period of time, there would be other guests who would come here one after another. However, they had all been blocked by the ancient bronze door, and had to return empty-handed. Whoosh! After observing for a while, Xiaochen's figure flashed, appearing like he teleported to the ancient door amid a flash of electric light. Then he stretched out his hand and touched the mysterious lightning pattern. According to the records in the Thunder Flame art, one had to cultivate this cultivation technique in order to grasp this seal. Xiaochen only cultivated the lightning-attributed Great Tao and the ice-attributed Great Tao. Clearly, he could not cultivate the Thunder Flame art and grasp this seal. This seal sealed an area. Even Dao Yin could not break it. Forcefully breaking it would not succeed. He could only use his wits. Xiaochen let go, and the Thunder Great Tao energy circulated in his body. Circles of Tao patterns spread out, and electricity crackled and flickered continuously. The Tao might shook the area. The Tao might spread out, and the surrounding ice pillars sealing the Thunder Flame trembled slightly. Then, ice shards fell off. Whoosh! Xiaochen used his Thunder Tao domain to support it. Then he simulated the same lightning pattern on his fingertip before gently touching it. Xiaochen touched the center of the ancient bronze door, and a loud sound rang out. Blood leaked out of Xiaochen's mouth as he went flying, nearly crashing into the ice pillar. Fortunately, Xiaochen's movement technique was agile, allowing him to change his position. Whoosh! Xiaochen moved like a phantom, weaving through the strange ice pillars. Then he landed before the ancient bronze door. It failed. What's wrong? Frowning, Xiaochen fell into deep thought. He took out the Thunder Flame art and started reading it again. Thud thud thud. He tried a few more times, but all of them ended in failure. Instead, he suffered some light injuries. No wonder even Dao Yin had chosen to give up. Even though he had grasped the Thunder Flame art, it was still so difficult. If this still doesn't work, then we really have to give up. Xiaochen muttered to himself. He planned to use the Universe Origin True Flame to replace the Fire Tao domain and imitate this seal together with the Thunder Tao domain. Suddenly, a wisp of primordial true fire rose from his palm. Xiaochen's expression was solemn as he stared straight at this wisp of flame. Xiaochen used the Thunder Flame art's secret technique to drive the Thunder Tao domain. In an instant, thunder and lightning crackled around the flames on his palm. The instant the thunder and flames merged, the mysterious thunder mark appeared on Xiaochen's palm, disappearing in a flash. Pa! In 1/10,000th of a second, Xiaochen grasped that fleeting opportunity and pressed his palm on the ancient bronze door's thunder mark. The thunder mark radiated light, and talisman scripts appeared on the ancient bronze door. Then, surging lightning-attributed energy spread out from the ancient door. Rumble! A loud sound rang out, and the entire Thunder Flame hall shook endlessly, looking like it was on the verge of collapse. The originally frozen Thunder Flame came to life, and ice shards fell like snow. Crack! Crack! Xiaochen's eyes lit up as the ancient bronze door opened. He gently pushed off with his feet, breaking the rules of this body's owner and charging back. Whoosh! Before Xiaochen could do anything, the remnant soul that he saw earlier appeared before Xiaochen. However, this remnant soul's figure was dim and incredibly weak. It did not react much to Xiaochen's appearance. What's wrong? Xiaochen asked seriously when he saw that the remnant soul's state was not right. The remnant soul replied calmly, "When you fought with that person from the Divine Sword Pavilion, you already broke the restrictions that I left back then. Before that person left, he sealed the rampaging Thunder Flame in ice. That will only stabilize it for a while." Xiaochen thought very quickly, and he soon understood. The Thunder Flame inheritance would be like the ice inheritance, completely collapsing. After that, he would no longer be able to enter. However, that white-clad Yan emperor had taken the initiative to destroy the inheritance before giving it to Xiao Chun. This remnant soul before Xiao Chun was passive. The collapse of the Thunder Flame inheritance was not under its control. Since that is the case, why don't you give me all the treasures of the inheritance, the medicinal pills, and the secret treasures? Xiao Chun thought, the hall is going to be destroyed. Rather than dying with it, I might as well be a good person and give them to myself. You are not the person I chose. Even though you entered this hall twice, you are not the person I am waiting for. The remnant soul remained calm when faced with Xiao Chen's somewhat shameless request. It said indifferently, aside from the dragon essence which I cannot leave behind, the other treasures will be destroyed. Take care. Boom. Right after the remnant soul spoke, it vanished completely. At the same time, the entire hall went out of control. The Thunder Flame's berserk charge caused the neighboring halls to explode. The explosions looked like fireworks in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, attracting everyone's attention. Xiao Chun felt somewhat depressed. If he were a prince, perhaps the result would be different. However, since he came, he could not leave empty-handed. The result was within Xiao Chun's expectations. What caught his eye was the vast dragon essence hidden in the Thunder Flame. The dragon essence in this hall far surpassed the other inheritances that Xiao Chun knew. Back then, the remnant soul had controlled it, preventing Xiao Chun from absorbing too much. Now he could accept it without any worries. Rumble. The Thunder Flame inheritance was a superior grade inheritance, and it exploded. When many people saw this, they felt that it was unfortunate. In the future succession race, this inheritance would be removed from the list of inheritances. No one knew that Xiao Chun was happily collecting vast amounts of dragon essence amid the tragic fireworks explosion. The ancient Yan Emperor tomb was boundlessly vast. Many princes and guests could see the shock waves from the Thunder Flame inheritance's explosion. However, even more princes and guests could not sense it. For example, the 9th Prince Wang Yan and the Heavenly Book scholar, who accompanied him, did not know. Your Highness, this is Black Wind Ridge, a forbidden land of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Aside from the lingering sinister winds and baleful aura, there are no inheritances or dragon essence here. This is a rather ideal place to hide, the Heavenly Book scholar said to Wang Yan as he pointed to the surroundings. It would be hard to find such a desolate place in an ancient blessed land like the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Dark clouds covered the place, and sinister winds blew endlessly. The spiritual energy here was thin, and weeds grew everywhere. Wang Yan showed a calm expression as he looked into the distance. The sinister winds howled like ghosts in the boundless darkness. Wang Yan showed a calm expression as he looked into the distance. The sinister winds howled like ghosts in the boundless darkness. If this person really wants to kill me, he will still chase me even in this horrifying forbidden land. Wang Yan did not show any worry or anxiety on his face. He only felt confused. Who in the world is in such a rush to eliminate me in the first round? The Heavenly Book scholar remained silent for a while. He knew that Wang Yan was right, so he consoled. Your Highness, there is no need to worry. Given our current strength, there is no need to be so cautious. However, there is no need to expose our strength in the first round and suffer losses. Wang Yan smiled faintly and said, You might think that, but others might not. The more we try to avoid it, the more they will push their luck. I understand those brothers of mine too well. Just at this moment, Senior Feng frowned slightly and said, Your Highness, I'm afraid we will have to leave again. The Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai looked around. After some thought he said, I sense some strong auras. Wang Yan showed a grave expression as he shifted his gaze from the depths of Black Wind Ridge. Then he said indifferently, We're not leaving. I want to see who is so overbearing. Wang Yan's repeated concessions had already crossed Wang Yan's bottom line. Wang Yan frequently guarded the borders, charging into battle, taking the lead. He had never been someone afraid of death. He had always been very reserved in the imperial capital, not competing with others. However, some people seem to have forgotten that he cultivated one of the most cold-blooded and emotionless great Dao, massacre. Chapter 2294. I'm not retreating anymore. Aside from pushing Wang Yan's bottom line, the other princes would catch up to me sooner or later. The other princes would definitely sense Wang Yan holding the Yan Imperial Sword in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. No matter where Wang Yan hid, unless he gave up on becoming the crown prince, someone would catch up to him sooner or later. Since that was the case, Wang Yan might as well face them head-on. Right after Wang Yan spoke, the churning dark clouds in the sky scattered without any warning. A flash of golden light illuminated the surroundings. Xiao Chen squinted his eyes and looked over. When everyone looked over, there was indeed a golden dragon image soaring through the sky. Its tyrannical dragon might layered over the sky, encasing this space. In an instant, a heavy pressure descended on everyone, causing their hearts to sink. The dragon god crown prince Qin Ming. Hao Kai said softly, his expression changing slightly as he immediately recognized the figure in the air. What's wrong? Senior Feng asked, not knowing much about this Qin Ming. Hao Kai replied after some thought. This Qin Ming is the purple gold dragon emperor's proudest son. He possesses a grade 7 golden dragon bloodline. Practically no one in the younger generation of our 8 great empires can outshine him. He is considered the person most likely to become the next dragon emperor. Hence, he is called the dragon god crown prince. Boom. Before Hao Kai finished speaking, a wolf howl rang out in the north. Tuoba Yun held the mace in his hand and walked over with heavy footsteps, one step at a time. Rumble. With every step, the ground trembled. Tuoba Yun brought out his 5-vein sovereign emperor cultivation to its limits. From a distance he looked like a tall mountain, giving off heavy pressure. Puchi. 10,000 miles ahead, the ground suddenly exploded, and a white snake with a body as large as a mountain appeared. A white snake the size of a mountain flickered with resplendent electric light as it burrowed out of the ground. A handsome white-clad person stood on its head. Roars came from the south. When one looked over, a huge great desolate Ian holy beast image soared into the sky. It was the Hound Lion Empire's crown prince, Xiahou Zun. He had used his bloodline to force out the Hound Lion's ferocious might. Little 13. Wang Yan frowned slightly. Although he had not seen the 13th Prince Wang Yi yet, these 4 people appeared. The person hiding behind the scenes, who had been forcing him to the Forbidden Land, Black Wind Ridge, was also on the verge of appearing. Aside from the 13th Prince Wang Yi, no one else could send these 4 to be the vanguard. So. Qin Ming was bathed in golden light. Dragon shadows revolved around him as he slowly descended from the sky. Bai Yunfei, Xiahou Zun, and Tuoba Yun stood side by side, looking down at Wang Yan and the others from the air. Xiao Chen is not here. The Heavenly Book scholar, Wang Yan, and the other 3 at Black Wind Ridge were clearly visible. Xiao Chen was nowhere to be seen. Disappointment immediately flashed in Qin Ming's eyes. He looked around and fixed his gaze on Wang Yan. Then he said, "Attack." He did not waste any time. After confirming that Xiao Chen was not around, he immediately made his move. Protect His Highness. This caused the Heavenly Book scholar's expression to change. His figure flashed, and he shielded Wang Yan. Can you protect it? Qin Ming took the lead and punched with the Emperor Dragon Fist. As his dragon might soared, a golden dragon image appeared resplendent and dazzling. Pusi. The Heavenly Book scholar barely managed to block this fist technique, which was known as the most ferocious offensive technique. Then he vomited blood. The Heavenly Book scholar's cultivation was not low. However, he was skilled in the Fate Dao. In a real fight, there was a clear gap between him and a heaven-defying outstanding talent like Qin Ming. Rumble. On the other side, Tuoba Yun faced off against Senior Feng. These 2 great perfection sovereign emperors quickly started fighting. They unleashed their Dao domains and emperor's might. After exchanging 3 moves, the battle turned incredibly intense. Every single move was earth-shattering. This was especially so when the 2 used soul tools. Tuoba Yun held a spiked club made of dark light, and Senior Feng held a black whip that could control the wind. The 2 were about equal in strength. Furthermore, they both had soul tools. Mysterious phenomena appeared, shaking the world. The might of the commotion was flabbergasting. As for the strongest Hao Kai, he was surrounded by Xiahou Zun, Bai Yunfei, and the white python with the strength of a great perfection sovereign emperor. Hao Kai was a six-veined sovereign emperor with the golden crow holy beast's bloodline. Although he held a slight advantage, he could not free himself to help the others. Strong winds howled in Black Wind Ridge, and dragon roars rang out. The clouds in the sky scattered. The vast starry heavens looked incredibly clear, as if one could touch it with one's hand. Hao Kai and Senior Feng fared better in the three-way battle. The Heavenly Book Scholar found it the hardest. He faced the Dragon God Crown Prince's pressure alone. After a while he was already riddled with wounds. He clearly knew that he could not defeat the Dragon God Crown Prince, but he could not fight. The Heavenly Book Scholar needed to buy time for Wang Yan to use his dragon essence to summon Xiao Chun and the others. Given the Heavenly Book Scholar's intelligence, he could naturally tell that the four before him were just the vanguard. The 13th Prince's true strength was still on the way. At that time, the Heavenly Book Scholar would be like a turtle in a jar. I need to hold on. Bang! Emperor Dragon Fist, unparalleled under the heavens. Qin Ming showed an indifferent expression, not showing any emotion in his eyes. Then he threw another Emperor Dragon Fist. The dragons bowed their heads as Qin Ming turned into a golden divine dragon. Then he leaped up from the heads of the dragons. The instant the fist light exploded, the light became even more dazzling than the sun. The Emperor Dragon's dragon might erupted to its limits, forcing the bowing dragons to kneel. This fist was unparalleled under the heavens, making all the dragons kneel. The folding fan in the Heavenly Book Scholar's hand materialized thousands of miraculous images. Plums, orchids, bamboo, and chrysanthemums appeared together. Righteous chi coexisted with the heavens. However, the instant the Heavenly Book Scholar touched the fist light, these miraculous images shattered like dreamy glass. A bloody bowl-sized hole immediately appeared in the Heavenly Book Scholar's chest. He wobbled in the air like a broken kite. Damn it! When Wang Yan, who was draining his dragon essence to summon Xiao Chun and the others, saw this scene, he had no choice but to interrupt his summoning. If Wang Yan still did not make a move, Qin Ming might smash the Heavenly Book Scholar to death. Whoosh! Wang Yan's figure flashed, moving like a phantom. Then he caught the Heavenly Book Scholar and slowly descended. Qin Ming revealed a look of pity in his eyes. He said softly, "You gave up on summoning? Had I known, I would have been gentler. However, I had no choice. I only used 50% of my strength." "Your Highness, why did you give up?" The Heavenly Book Scholar could not help showing despair in his eyes. Given this, when the 13th Prince's main forces arrived, the Heavenly Book Scholar would not be able to escape. The 9th Prince Wang Yan's succession race would basically be over. So what if I gave up? I can't stand by and watch you die. Not bringing Xiao Chun and the others here was equivalent to giving up on the succession race. Changji, rest well first. Wang Yan passed a strand of dragon essence to the Heavenly Book Scholar to nourish his heart and lungs. Then he restrained the Heavenly Book Scholar and stood up to face Qin Ming alone. Wang Yan's eyes turned cold as he gathered murderous intent in secret. The instant Qin Ming met Wang Yan's gaze, he felt slightly stunned. This prince before him seemed to be much stronger than he had imagined. The huge light screen in the palace showed the 13th prince leading his guests. They charged at Black Wind Ridge with surging murderous intent. This immediately startled the various feudal lords and the noble clan heads. The 13th prince is going to Black Wind Ridge. He is trying to kill the 9th prince. It does not look like he is just robbing the 9th prince. I heard that the 13th prince and the 9th prince have a grudge. This is just the first round, and he is trying to kill everyone. Isn't that too much? Huh? The 9th prince is going to be unlucky. How unfortunate. How unfortunate. Originally, the feudal lords and powerhouses thought that it was just a simple robbery. However, when they saw the 13th prince leading his guests to Black Wind Ridge, they all knew that the nature of this matter had changed. Outside the drill ground, Mo Chun, Ao Jiao, Su Yi, and the other Misty Rain Pavilion's people all showed some worry when they saw this scene. Inside the Thunder Flame Inheritance, a heavy jade strip with 9 dragon images swam about. Xiao Chun absorbed nearly all the vast dragon essence in the inheritance. Just at this moment, Xiao Chun frowned slightly. He had sensed Wang Yan's call from the jade strip. However, just as Wang Yan was about to ask, the call was interrupted in a hurry. Oh no! Something happened to the ninth prince. Xiao Chen's expression immediately changed. Then he grabbed the jade strip and turned into a beam of light as he flew out. Just as Xiao Chen felt helpless, fearing that he would not be able to rush over in time, crunching sounds came from his storage ring. The demon blood vulture was breaking out of its cocoon. On the other side, Xiao Sua and the others also sensed that something happened. I have a secret technique that can allow us to rush over quickly. Get close to me. I hope we can make it in time. Xiao Sua took out the Scarlet Blood War banner with a grave expression. Wu Meng and Qin Zhuolin quickly approached. Chapter 2295. The 13th Prince's group, which was rushing to Black Wind Ridge at full speed, made everyone feel the severity of the situation. At the same time, this made the 9th Prince's supporters in the palace worry. The 13th Prince's disciples were the outstanding talents of the 8 great empires' sovereign emperors. They all had great desolate Ian bloodlines, and they were practically undefeated in the first round. Among the princes, his strength could be ranked in the top 3. That was because there were some princes who weren't as weak as they seemed on the surface, but their strength was definitely enough to rank in the top 5. As for the 9th Prince Wang Yan, he spent most of his time outside. His faction in the capital was practically non-existent. He had relied on Xiao Chen's connections and the Misty Rain Pavilion's resources to recruit guests. There was a great disparity in strength between the two events. In Black Wind Ridge, the battle was in full swing. Hao Kai of the Golden Crow Empire was fighting 1 against 2. He was fighting Xiahozun, Bai Yunfei, and the troublesome White Lightning Python. Even though he had an overwhelming advantage in terms of cultivation, neither Xiahozun nor Bai Yunfei dared to fight him head-on. However, the two of them were outstanding talents. They were intelligent and had astonishing comprehension abilities. By relying on his powerful foundation, he actually managed to stall Hao Kai. On top of that, there was the elusive white python, which could cause serious injuries if one was not careful. No matter how furious Hao Kai was, he could not break away from the two of them. He could not free himself to help the 9th Prince Wang Yan. As for Senior Feng and Tuo Baiyun, the two of them were already fighting with all their might. Everyone took out inferior-grade soul tools and unleashed their full power. Dao domains clashed with Dao domains, soul tools clashed with soul tools. They were equally matched, and it would be difficult to determine the victor if there were no external forces. However, as time passed and the 13th Prince's army arrived, their advantage would become apparent. Time was not on Senior Feng's side. If they continued to fight, there was no guarantee that his mental state wouldn't change. Inside the imperial palace, all the feudal vassals, the big shots of the 4 regions, and the noble families were paying close attention to this battle. It was Qin Ming and the 9th Prince Wang Yan. There was no need to doubt Qin Ming's strength. He had been famous for a long time. Among the outstanding talents of the 8 great empires, the Golden Dragon race was grooming him as the next crown prince. He himself did not waste these resources. Since Xiao Chen's debut, he had used his various accomplishments to carve out the title of Dragon God Crown Prince. This showed that his reputation was not undeserved. However, although the 9th Prince Wang Yan spent most of his time outside, leading troops into battle, the 9th Prince Wang Yan was not an ordinary person. However, compared to talent, bloodline, and resources, they were all inferior. The only advantage they had was one thing. With the Yan Imperial Sword in hand, Xiao Chen could bring out strength that surpassed that of the other outstanding talents. The dragon fate in the sword could be converted into his own combat strength at any time. The two of them stared at each other, competing with their auras as they searched for each other's flaws. Qin Ming showed an indifferent expression, showing no joy or sorrow in his eyes. His emperor dragon might soared into the clouds. Vaguely, it turned into an enormous golden dragon that coiled in the sky, looking down at the common people from above. His clothes and long hair fluttered in the wind. His handsome facial features were well defined, as if they had been carved out by a ghost axe, sharp and boundless. As Wang Yan held the Yan Imperial Sword, he showed a grave expression, feeling heavy pressure. Xiao Chen's cultivation was lower than the other parties in the first place, only a two-vein sovereign emperor. Furthermore, the other party had a divine dragon bloodline, so his aura was much weaker. If not for the Yin Imperial Sword, Wang Yan would have fallen long ago. However, Wang Yan's pitch-black eyes did not show any cowardice. His gaze remained resolute and calm. There was also a boundless killing intent that turned into a ferocious wild beast hiding in the depths of his eyes. This was the massacre Dao. Even if one could not defeat the other party, one would not cower. After identifying the enemy, one would not rest until one party died, fighting to the death. Qin Ming sensed this determination, so he did not act rashly. He only used his aura to slowly suppress the other party. Sha. As Wang Yan faced off, Qin Ming unhurriedly took a step forward. He took this step very slowly. It was as if the flow of time had slowed down along with this stomp. Even the surrounding scenery was affected and slowed down. Slow. However, Wang Yan, who grasped the sword hilt, could not draw it. Although the other party was slow, he did not show any openings. As he raised his foot, it even contained a great aura, making everyone feel grave. However, if Wang Yan did not draw his sword, he might not have a chance to draw his sword when the other party's foot landed. Wang Yan needed to draw his sword. The killing intent in Wang Yan's eyes slowly gathered like thousands of sparks. Just as the sparks were about to gather, just as the Yin Imperial Sword was about to be drawn, Qin Ming's foot suddenly sped up. Fast. When he slowed down, time seemed to freeze. When he sped up, it was as if time had stopped. When he sped up, the boundless starry heavens in the sky changed. The starry heavens turned into a painting. Shifting. Boom. Dragon roars rang out, and the starry heavens changed. Before Wang Yan could draw his sword, Qin Ming's foot landed. Immediately, an emperor dragon's dragon might burst out from Qin Ming's foot. A gentleman is like a dragon, moving with the heavens, constantly striving for self-improvement. Qin Ming shouted, and a visible golden emperor dragon's dragon might swept out in all directions. Before the sparks formed by the thousands of sparks in Wang Yan's eyes could gather, he got knocked back, and his aura shattered. The world is like the earth, and a gentleman is virtuous. Boom. The entire ground trembled and exploded. Thousands of dragon images burst out, and Qin Ming soared into the air. Qin Ming's emperor dragon might soared in that instant. His speed was even faster than Wang Yan's as he flew back. Then he charged over to Wang Yan at a startling speed and punched with the emperor dragon fist. The expression of Wang Yan, who was knocked back, changed slightly. He had no choice but to give up on drawing his sword. Wang Yan held the sword hilt with one hand, and the scabbard with the other, holding the sword horizontally in front of him. He infused his divine energy into the sword using the massacre Dao. The dragon essence on the sword soared, and a dragon image coiled around the scabbard. Dang! Wang Yan vomited a mouthful of blood. His arm went numb, and he nearly lost his grip on the Yin Imperial Sword. The force of this punch knocked Wang Yan into the air. Without waiting for Wang Yan to land, Qin Ming pressed forward with a cold expression, continuously launching attacks. Immediately, the golden divine dragon's dragon might spread out. Golden dragon images filled the sky, covering the sky and covering the sun. The Emperor Dragon Fist, known as the strongest fist technique in the world, pressured everyone to the point of suffocation. Even through the huge light screen in the royal palace, everyone could feel this overbearing fist light, which made them shudder in fear. The might of the Emperor Dragon Fist was clear without a doubt. The fist light was bright, howling like the wind. With every punch, dragon images roared ferociously. As Wang Yan punched repeatedly, the flickering dragon images could only be seen flashing with golden light, because the fist light was too fast. He clenched his teeth and did his best to endure. Qin Ming made up his mind not to give Wang Yan a chance to draw his sword. This was because such a person who cultivated the Tao of Massacre would not be able to escape. However, once Wang Yan drew his sword, no matter how injured he was, he could erupt with startling offensive power. In the clouds in the royal palace, the Yan Emperor frowned slightly, but could not do anything. Right now, Wang Yan could give up and leave. If he did not and got beaten to death, even the Yan Emperor would not be able to say anything. It ends here. The indifferent Qin Ming saw the huge opening that Wang Yan revealed. Then he shouted coldly, and countless dragon images spread out in this world. The countless dragon images in this world gathered on Qin Ming's fist light. When he punched, Wang Yan lost his grip on the Yan Imperial Sword. The sword flew out of his hand and into the sky. However, Qin Ming's explosive fist light did not lose momentum, continuing mercilessly towards Wang Yan's chest. Your Highness! Senior Feng, who was fighting with Tuoba Yun at the side, could not help crying out when he saw this scene. Wang Yan stared blankly at the Yan Imperial Sword that flew into the air in a daze. He turned a deaf ear to Qin Ming's punches, his eyes only focused on the sword. Damn it! The Heavenly Book Scholar, who was severely injured and unable to move, felt very anxious. His eyes turned slightly moist as he shouted anxiously, Your Highness, give up! Give up! Give up! If Wang Yan still did not give up, he would not be far from death when this punch landed. As Wang Yan looked at the swaying Yan Imperial Sword in the air, many thoughts flashed through his mind. Wang Yan thought about his mother's miserable death when he was young. He thought about offending his 13th brother, and being forced to leave the imperial capital. He thought about the cruelty of the battlefield. He thought about Xiao Chen's scolding. What use do I have for you? Should I give up? Absolutely not. The killing intent in Wang Yan's eyes turned into sparks again. The flames of the killing intent burned fiercely in his eyes. A terrifying killing intent erupted from Wang Yan's body. The instant Qin Ming's punch landed on his chest, Wang Yan used his finger as a sword and stabbed Qin Ming's chest as well. Puchi! A bloody bowl-sized hole appeared in the 9th prince's chest as he went flying back. Qin Ming did not move back at all. However, when he landed, he wiped his hand across his chest. Blood covered his hand, and a gash appeared on his chest. Blood gushed out like a fountain. Wang Yan's final sword strike had also pierced through his dragon might. You are seeking death. Qin Ming immediately felt enraged. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he charged over again. However, just at this moment, a flash of scarlet light flashed in the air like a burning flame. A figure leaped up and grabbed the Yan Imperial Sword in the air. Then, that figure descended like a meteor and shielded Wang Yan, catching the punch. Bang! The instant the two fists clashed, that person did not move at all. Dragon roars came from his body, not showing any fear of the Emperor Dragon might that covered the sky. Emperor Dragon Fist, driving dragons to the sky. Qin Ming's expression changed slightly as he punched. Hearing the command, dragons soared into the sky. Supreme Dragon Fist, leaderless dragons. The newcomer was not flustered at all. He also punched out. The dragons that Qin Ming commanded collided with each other. They turned into thousands of light shadows and scattered in all directions, like headless flies in the air. Emperor Dragon Fist, Dragon's Bow. Qin Ming was enraged. This was the first time this kind of situation had occurred. Immediately, his spirit essence surged and he punched out again. Xiao Chen forced the thousands of dragon images in the sky to gather under his fist light and charge down. Supreme Dragon Fist, raging at the unfair heaven. Qin Ming was angry, but the person who came was even angrier than him. He was angry at the sky that was ruled by an evil dragon. If the heavens are unfair, then I'll shatter the heavens and restore my clarity. Boom. When Xiao Chen punched, the bowing dragon images shattered. The sky turned clear, and the vast starry heavens reappeared. Amidst the scattering starlight, Xiao Chen said softly, I'll also return a punch to you. I, the unique and righteous. What was a supreme? In the heavens and earth, only I am supreme. Chapter 2296. In the heavens and on the earth, I am the only one. Grabbing the Yan Imperial Sword, Wang Yan, who was on the ground, felt stunned. He had not expected Xiao Chen to arrive so quickly. Pa. Boom. Xiao Chen's expression was indifferent, but he did not have the slightest fear. Roar. The moment he said that, Wang Yan's expression changed slightly. He suddenly understood something. The moment the huge palm appeared, Qin Ming jumped in fright. He quickly stopped talking and jumped away in a panic. When Qin Ming, who was still falling, saw Xiao Chen break out of his cage and charge over again, A ferocious light flashed in his eyes. He shouted, "Die!" Even the turbid air that Zhang Xian exhaled was forcefully forced back into his throat. Divine Dragon's secret skill. Prison Chain Frenzied Dragon. The powerful attack was like a torrential storm. It was simply breathtaking. Bang! Bang! He did not show any signs of frustration because of his previous defeat. Instead, his eyes were filled with excitement. It turned into fragments and scattered all over the sky. Horizontally and vertically, they formed a cage, trapping Xiao Chun in the air. The fist light flashed and the dragon's shadow shone brightly. At Xiao Chun's command, the demon blood vulture that looked like a blood phoenix in the air screeched and flew towards the electric white python. Kacha. Firmament's rage. Bang. Bang. Sword catch. Xiao Chun stretched out his hand and beckoned. The ancestor dragon's rage from the ancient great desolate Aeon appeared in the sky. Vaguely, there seemed to be a universe within it, containing the power of space. Bang. The continuous attacks made everyone feel as if a stone was stuck in their hearts, and the pressure was immense. Otherwise, the aftershock of a random wisp of sword light would cause a destructive blow to the surrounding space. An ancient king's aura spread out from his body. The so-called pure emperor dragons might immediately seemed immature before him. I almost thought you wouldn't be able to make it. Do you think I want to kill the 9th prince? Xiao Chun showed a calm expression as he took out the Heavenly Alliance Envoy medallion unhurriedly. Compared to the Supreme Dragon Fist, these feudal powerhouses even felt that the Emperor Dragon Fist was not worth mentioning. Damn it, why is this strength so fierce? It could rival a strong 4-vein sovereign emperor. What did it mean by the #1 offensive technique in the world? Unwilling to listen to the other party's nagging, Xiao Chun stepped forward and stomped on the other party's head, crushing it into the ground. However, the Supreme Dragon Fist that Xiao Chun executed now showed everyone what a sovereign emperor's violence was. Demon Blood Vulture, go help Senior Hao Kai. Earlier, Qin Ming had already shown them what the Emperor Dragon Fist was. However, not only had Xiao Chun stopped in front of him, but his move, I the Unique and Righteous, was also trying to send him flying. Qin Ming, who had landed on the ground, wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and grinned. After 100 moves, Xiao Chun's fist smashed through the protective shield formed by the dragon might and landed on his chin. Break. It was obvious how terrifying of a force Xiao Chun had exerted in this instant. At this moment, Qin Ming finally experienced what it felt like to be suppressed by someone using an offensive technique similar to the Emperor Dragon Fist. Furthermore, it continued to shrink. It looked like it would completely restrict Xiao Chun's physical body and invade his flesh, blood, and soul. Xiao Chun showed a relaxed expression as he turned around and tossed the Yan Imperial sword in his hand to the 9th Prince Wang Yan. When Xiao Chun punched, that unruly and unyielding aura burst out from his body. Xiao Chun's fist light destroyed an inferior-grade soul tool just like that. Qin Ming said coldly, "My target has been you, the dragon race rebel, Xiao Chun, from the start to the end." The instant the sword light appeared, the entire world turned dark. A horrifying aura spread out in all directions. The entire ancient Yan Emperor tomb felt this terrifying sword intent. Qin Ming seemed to have an irresolvable conflict with the golden dragon race. A purple light flashed, and Xiao Chun appeared directly in front of Qin Ming. Then he threw a punch. Xiao Chun's fist light was like a torrential storm, raining down relentlessly on the old man's chest. However, Qin Ming lived up to his reputation. In the blink of an eye, he executed the strongest move of the Emperor Dragon Fist as well. Xiao Chun turned into a beam of light, and stomped on Qin Ming at an unimaginable speed. When Qin Ming clashed with Xiao Chun's punch, he felt his arm go numb. The huge force transmitted over, shaking half of his body to the point where he couldn't move. Qin Ming's father was the current dragon race's purple gold dragon emperor. He contained some of the dragon emperor's might. Regular dragon race cultivators would find it hard to stand stably before him. Crack. Qin Ming frantically formed hand seals with both hands. Suddenly, black dragon images appeared in the sky and on the ground. Qin Ming was incredibly strong before Wang Yan, and the Heavenly Book scholar. He was nearly completely suppressed. Qin Ming could not parry at all. He could not even bring out the might of the Emperor Dragon Fist. I possess the Emperor Dragon's might. How can this person push me back? Qin Ming could not retaliate at all. Shock appeared in Qin Ming's heart. He could not imagine how Xiao Chen's punch could be so horrifying. A dragon image came out of each of the two, roaring ferociously and glaring at Qin Ming. Qin Ming roared ferociously the instant Xiao Chen's force scattered. In reality, the Emperor Dragon Fist was such a cultivation technique. The stronger it was, the stronger it was. However, once it suffered a true setback, it would be very difficult to gather its might again, unable to bring out its true might. This was the pure Emperor's might from the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Any dragon race powerhouse would fear this dragon might. Boom. The feudal lords and various powerhouses in the palace who saw this scene were all startled into speechlessness. It was completely useless. No matter how Qin Ming struggled, he was defeated by this punch. He was defeated. No wonder this person showed disappointment in his eyes when he saw that the summoning was interrupted. The instant the cage formed, time and space seemed to freeze. An ancient restriction flickered in the dragon pillars. Emperor Dragon Fist, Sovereign Descent. 5 huge handprints immediately appeared on the ground. Qin Ming, who had soared into the air, sucked in a breath of cold air. Blood splattered in the air, accompanied by broken teeth. Blood leaked out of a corner of Qin Ming's lips, as Xiao Chen forced him back a step. He revealed a doubtful expression in his eyes. The instant Qin Ming raised his head, he was about to capture Xiao Chen's figure when he discovered many fist images. 100 punches, 1,000 punches, 10,000 punches, all of them surged out in an instant. Crack. Cassie. Cassie. Xiao Chen shattered Qin Ming's protective battle armor. Suddenly, Wang Yan thought of the assassination attempt that Xiao Chen faced at Mirror Lake. The other party's cultivation was clearly the same as Wang Yan's. What was supreme? The Emperor Dragon's dragon might seem solid as it spread out from Qin Ming's body. That was the pure dragon might of a king. I'll take your life while you're down. Qin Ming continuously executed the Supreme Dragon Fist. Be it his Dao Domain, soul energy cultivation technique, or mental state, he was weaker than Xiao Chen. Noisy. Qin Ming's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, the other party could easily deliver such a strike after receiving 2 punches. At the crucial moment, Xiao Chen could easily kill a great perfection sovereign emperor. A sword light also flew out of Qin Ming's medallion, and the dark world immediately lit up. The royal blue dragon bloodline flowed in Qin Ming's body. His name was written in the royal genealogy that had been passed down for countless epochs. Dragon images immediately filled the sky. One was golden, and the other was azure-colored. Boom. The berserk fist lights blasted Qin Ming, knocking him back and forth in the air like a broken kite. The black dragon images radiating heavy resentment crisscrossed as they flickered with light. A bright light immediately erupted from Qin Ming's forehead, and a sword light appeared. The 2 fists clashed, producing a deafening sound that shook the world. Once Qin Ming executed this move, he could force an expert like Wang Yan to not even have a chance to draw his sword. The 2 sword lights that inspired fear in peak sovereign emperors clashed in the air, clashing with each other. Then they silently vanished. A colossal hand formed in the air. Lightning flickered in the palm, and saber light spread out. Boom. This is never-ending. Crack. Crack. The many powerhouses in the palace could clearly feel it through the huge light screen. Bang. I'll return a punch as well. Only I am supreme. As their strengths were equal, they cancelled each other out. Qin Ming truly lived up to being the Dragon God Crown Prince. He had many trump cards. Xiao Chen felt somewhat tired of this. He activated his alloy battle armor, and supported his 6th layer Thunder Dao Domain. Qin Ming roared, and the sovereign emperor's might from the divine dragon empire burst out of his body. Qin Ming went flying. The Emperor Dragon Fist of the Golden Dragon bloodline lost to Xiao Chen again. Heavy murderous intent flashed in Qin Ming's eyes. This was a sword light that the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor left in his sea of consciousness. It equaled a strike from the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Xiao Chen. Before Qin Ming could reveal a smile, Xiao Chen took out the Divine Lightning Talisman and broke this restriction with a wave of his hand. It turned out that Qin Ming's target had been Xiao Chun from the very start. Chapter 2297. Let go. Let go. At the same time, he felt even more shocked. Xiao Chun was still firmly suppressing the Silver Dragon King as he fought. The Silver Dragon King was incredibly frustrated, but he could not do anything to Xiao Chun. After all, the Dragon God Crown Prince was a Golden Dragon race 3-vein sovereign emperor. It would be somewhat difficult to crush the Dragon God Crown Prince's head with one stomp. Xiao Chun, I'll take your life. Xiao Chun snorted coldly as he unleashed his 4th-layer Ice Dao domain, stacking the 2 Dao domains. The more crucial thing was that this Xiao Chun had some fortuitous encounter, allowing him to erupt with such strength in such a short time. Boom. The Silver Dragon King wanted to take advantage of Xiao Chun's distraction to pull Qin Ming out. With the support of the alloy dragon armor, the Silver Dragon King's 6th-layer Thunder Dao domain already reached the 7th-layer Dao Might. Don't be rash. Any reputable person in the Yanwu dynasty would see this scene. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor could not afford to lose face like this. Sikong Shu, who was dressed like a fisherman, appeared in the air. Under his conical bamboo hat, he looked coldly at Xiao Chun, who was fighting the Silver Dragon King. However, others could not even see that silver figure's appearance. This showed how fast he was. Whoosh! Sikong Shu's Dao Might sword, reaching the 8th layer. The aura that Qin Ming burst out with was even more horrifying than when he activated his great desolate Ian bloodline. Caught off guard, Xiao Chun bore the brunt of the attack and got knocked back by a golden dragon image. However, he didn't expect to see such a situation after he arrived. Whoosh! The expected 9th Prince Wang Yan did not appear. Instead, the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Ming was trampled on, unable to move. Sikong Shu's figure flashed, and he landed beside the Silver Dragon King. Then he patted the Silver Dragon King's shoulder and said, "Believe in Qin Ming. Since he endured the humiliation until now and did not give up, he definitely has a way to escape." Ka. Bang. Bang. Is that so? How do you know that I am not doing it on purpose? I am already a traitor. Why would I care about the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's face? They were still neck and neck. There was no obvious sign of Xiao Chun's decline. While Xiao Chun looked calm and collected, in reality, he had already brought out his Thunder Dao domain without anyone realizing it. It should be the bridge of the nose. Xiao Chun did not hold back when he stepped on the Dragon God Crown Prince's face. But who knew that with this pull Qin Ming, who was being stepped on by Xiao Chun, let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered. Qin Ming, who was trampled on the ground, slowly got up. Golden dragon scales appeared on his body, slowly covering his entire body. Whoosh! Hao Kai of the Golden Crow Empire was slightly startled. The Silver Dragon King also had such worries, not daring to bring out the peak strength of a 6-vein sovereign emperor. A silver light flashed, and the Silver Dragon King revealed his true body and retreated. The moment they saw this scene, a flaw appeared in their mental states. Clearly, it was not suitable for them to continue fighting. Seeing that Xiao Chun was still trampling on Qin Ming, Hao Kai shouted angrily, "Xiao Chun, don't go overboard. He is Qin Ming, the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's favorite son. Now is the succession race. Don't be too ruthless. I know you did not mean it. Let go of Qin Ming, and everything can be discussed." Since Xiao Chun had the opportunity to trample on this person, he would naturally do so ruthlessly. Xiao Chun's 30-kilometer-long body was different from his previous dermic world. Now, Buddhist might covered his body, bringing out nearly all the Buddhist might of the Mahasvara Buddha's Sarira. Retreat. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Back then, what did I do wrong? The Golden Dragon bloodline chased me across most of the Divine Dragon Empire. Just because I practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist, I defeated the Emperor Dragon Fist in front of everyone? Sorry, I cannot accept this. Silver light flickered endlessly around Xiao Chun's body. Every time Xiao Chun sent out a palm strike, a berserk dragon roar rang out, stirring up mysterious phenomena. No one knew what Qin Ming was thinking at this moment. Tuoba Yun, who was fighting Senior Feng, Xiao Hozun, and Bai Yunfei, who were fighting Hao Kai, were stunned when they saw this scene. However, Xiao Chen was in a slightly better state this time. When that gargantuan foot landed, Xiao Chen was trampled into a pile of mush. However, he was in a slightly better state this time. The instant that gargantuan foot landed, Xiao Chen was trampled into a pile of mush. Furthermore, with such a strong Xiao Chen, it was impossible not to re-evaluate the current situation. Xiao Chen's body immediately wobbled. In the next moment, he suddenly soared up. Xiao Chen did not show any fear. He turned his body to the side and sent out a palm strike. Instead, he instantly bound the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Ming, who was under Xiao Chen's feet. Xiao Chen and the Silver Dragon King sensed that something was wrong and rushed over before the 13th prince. In a moment, the two exchanged more than 100 moves. The sound of something shattering came from the ground, sounding crisp and resonant. Qin Ming's broken nose should be a blessing and a misfortune. Xiao Chen did not express his emotions. However, that did not mean that Xiao Chen was a hypocrite, allowing this person to do whatever he wanted. At the thought of this, the Silver Dragon King could not help rejoicing, praising Xiao Chen in his heart. Fortunately, the Silver Dragon King did not succeed. Even so, Xiao Chen did not do anything. His spiritual sense already sensed a group of people with strong auras not far away. These people rushed over at lightning speed. Without needing to guess, it had to be the 13th Prince's group. Qin Ming, who had just stood up and executed the Golden Dragon transformation art, revealed a trace of redness on his face. Xikong Shu was right. Qin Ming had endured humiliation for a long time. Indeed, he had been preparing in secret. Good. Let Qin Ming use the Golden Dragon transformation art to defeat Xiao Chen. After this rebirth, he might be able to break through the shackles on the spot. Only then did everyone startle to their senses. It turned out that Qin Ming had been used as a sandbag, trampled under the Silver Dragon King's feet. The various powerhouses inside and outside the palace who saw this scene were all shocked as well. Since when did a three-veined sovereign emperor have such strength? The contrast was too great. Everyone found it hard to accept. The instant Qin Ming stood up, killing qi surged from his entire body as he stared at Xiao Chen, who got knocked into the air. The Silver Dragon King gritted his teeth at Xiao Chen's shameless words. He could not help wanting to erupt again. Clearly, the Silver Dragon King knew about this. Outside the palace, Xiao Chen's expression did not change. His alloy dragon armor flickered with purple electric light, and dragon motifs dotted the armor. The alloy dragon armor sparkled, looking like a swimming dragon hiding in the lake, appearing indistinct. This thorn was buried in the Silver Dragon King's heart. The Silver Dragon Kings forcefully retreated and stood together. As they watched Xiao Chen trample on Qin Ming, they did not dare to act rashly. This person's dragon might soar again. Silver light covered the sky for 5,000 kilometers around, making it look like a silver lake in the sky, boundlessly vast and majestic. Whoosh! This was the Dragon God Crown Prince, an outstanding talent that even a regular four-veined sovereign emperor could easily defeat. Boom! A silver light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes like a ghost, disappearing in a flash. Before the Silver Dragon King could react, the sky suddenly turned dark. In the next moment, a gigantic foot stomped on him. Just at this moment, a transparent fishing line streaked through the air. While Xiao Chen fought the Silver Dragon King, this figure appeared silently. However, it did not attack Xiao Chen. Everyone already guessed the identity of this silver figure. It had to be the Silver Dragon King, one of the two super experts by the 13th Prince's side. A Buddhist swastika appeared on Xiao Chen's forehead, radiating Buddhist might as he formed hand seals. He watched the Kasayapa Buddha cautiously execute the lost supreme magic skill of the Buddhist sect's dermic world. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, a horrifying great desolate Aeon dragon might burst out from Qin Ming's body under Xiao Chen's feet. As Xiao Chen spoke, he increased his pressure on Qin Ming's foot, pressing down a few more times. Qin Ming could no longer endure the pain, squealing like a pig being slaughtered. This is not a bloodline awakening. This is the secret technique of the Golden Dragon bloodline, the dragon transformation art. Qin Ming fainted, his life or death unknown. The pride of the Golden Dragon bloodline absolutely cannot be profaned by you. Xiao Chun, I will definitely kill you today. The sovereign emperors fought until the sky turned dark, nearly tearing down Black Wind Ridge. At the very least, Qin Ming's head was still there. There was one more thing that Xiao Chun did not say. This fellow wanted to do something to Lu Ruyue, even if he had to die. Even the Silver Dragon King could not do anything to him. Unable to take him down quickly, Qin Ming's miserable shrieks forced Sikongshu, who was secretly trying to save him, to take the initiative to let go of the fishing line. Right now, Sikongshu did not dare to act rashly, as Xiao Chun was stepping on Qin Ming. If he got careless, he could cause Qin Ming's death. Sikongshu originally thought that the battle would end after one clash. Unexpectedly, the battle lasted for so long in the blink of an eye. Boom! A temporary calm appeared as both sides faced each other. Ice Dao Domain. Buddhist sect major magic skill, Dermic World. How did Qin Ming lose in such a sorry state? Furthermore, his face was trampled on, rendering him immobile. The murderous aura had already materialized. In the thick black clouds, one could even vaguely see the phantoms of various ancient divine beasts. Buddhist might spread out. After stomping Qin Ming into a pile of minced meat, Xiao Chen's dermic world also dispersed. Damn it. 13th Prince, kill these people. The Silver Dragon King asked anxiously to Sikongshu, who was checking on Qin Ming's injuries. Normally, Xiao Chen could use the Tyrant Saber to deal with most of his enemies. Spiderweb-like cracks appeared, preventing the other party's aura from coalescing into a whole. Right at this moment, a strange scene suddenly appeared. It was accompanied by a wave of majestic, resonant, and solemn voice that seemed to have traveled through time and space. Whoosh! Wang Yin did not back down. He could not agree to the 13th Prince's request. Without a doubt, Wang Yin revealed joy on his face. With the dragon vein protecting him, it was equivalent to this land acknowledging him. He instantly held the geographical advantage. Wang Yi said after some thought, "It's very simple. Hand over half of your dragon essence to me, and cut off all possibility of becoming the crown prince. Naturally, I will let you off." Earth drawing as dragon. When Xiao Chen drew this saber with the 7-kill seal, scarlet lightning dyed half the sky red in an instant. Qin Ming, who was now a pile of minced meat on the ground, gave off a faint golden light as he slowly healed. Unless Xiao Chen destroyed Qin Ming's divine seal and soul, he would not be able to kill Qin Ming in one strike. There was a silver dragon, a white marsh beast, a swanni, and a heavenly wolf, all terrifying divine beasts from the great desolate Aeon. All the sovereign emperors, including Sikongshu, had to take a step back. With this thought, Xiao Chen's figure flashed, taking the initiative to give up on Qin Ming's mangled body. However, he needed to draw Heavenly Slayer now. Wang Yin smiled coldly in his heart. So that is the case. However, this is really laughable. Never mind. When the banner stabbed into the ground, the entire world trembled. When the banner fluttered, it looked like a scarlet ribbon dancing in the air. This peak 6-vein sovereign emperor from the Golden Crow Empire was Ao Jiao, enduring immense pressure. A warm feeling spread in everyone's heart, including the 9th Prince's people. Xiao Chun, who was in the air, frowned slightly. He knew that he had lost the chance to land another strike. Qin Zhuolin casually waved his hand, and the surrounding terrain changed dramatically. A strand of the ancient dragon vein hidden in the terrain appeared, surrounding Wang Yan and the others. Originally, Wang Yan thought that the other party's strongest trump card was activating his great desolate Aeon bloodline. 9th brother, don't blame 13th brother for being ruthless. Back then, Xiao Chen relied on this saber to kill the 4-vein sovereign emperor Qin Yu's physical body and soul at the same time. Once it erupted, Xiao Chen did not dare imagine how horrifying it would be. Even peak sovereign emperors, who surpass great perfection sovereign emperors, would have to retreat. Otherwise, only death awaited them. The strength of those carefully selected to help Xiao Chen went without a doubt. Even Sikongshu did not dare to underestimate them. Furthermore, these people had the most horrifying trump cards. They could all bring out their bloodlines. Aside from suffering from Xiao Chen's stomp, they also suffered from the rebound of the secret art. At this moment, their souls fell into a deep sleep. Attack. With so many outstanding talents present, who dared to fight? A terrifying mysterious phenomenon appeared in the entire ancient Yin Emperor tomb. They had no choice but to retreat. When the 10 sovereign emperor's killing intent was forced out of their heads, the pressure on them immediately decreased. Heavenly Slayer. A tense atmosphere spread in Black Wind Ridge. The many sovereign emperors clashing gave off a terrifying aura. On the 9th prince's side, aside from Xiao Chen, who appeared somewhat unfathomable, only the Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai could be considered a sovereign emperor expert. Wang Yin showed a silent expression. Then he stepped forward and looked straight at Wang Yi. 13th brother, this succession race has just begun. Aren't you in too much of a rush to kill me already? Wang Yin felt admiration for Wang Yan's decision from the bottom of his heart. Many times one did not need to make the right decision, but one needed to be decisive. This was a peak medial grade soul tool forged from demonic tribulation lightning gold. The ancient thunder cliff tree was the handle, and the ancient thunder dragon's true soul was infused into it. The demonic tribulation lightning gold was a transcendent grade divine material born from Mo Juning's true god tribulation. It could only be found and not sought. Boom! The demonic tribulation lightning gold was ferocious and tyrannical, containing the heavenly Tao's killing intent. It was sharp and could trigger the demonic tribulation divine lightning, like a heavenly punishment. If the demonic tribulation lightning gold drove it at full power, it could cause the sky to crack, the sun and moon to dim, and stars to fall. Although it was a medial grade soul tool, its might was infinitely close to that of a superior grade soul tool. The instant the terrifying killing intent erupted from Wang Yan's body, the sevenfold saber intent tore the dense dark clouds in the sky into pieces. Since that was the case, Xiao Chen might as well give it his all. The 13th prince still had the Silver Dragon King and Sikong Shu, two super experts. Aside from them, there were Tuoba Yun, Bai Yun, Sikong Shu, and 10 sovereign emperor outstanding talents. They all possess great desolate Yin bloodlines, and were elites selected from great perfection sovereign emperors. To the prideful Qin Ming, such an outcome was worse than death. Given this, even if the 13th prince defeated the other party, it would be a miserable victory. My name is Scarlet Blood. My body is scarlet iron, and my blood is scorching. For half my life, I drifted from place to place. For half my life, I was unrivaled, moving about without fear. My body is like a sword. The other person only needed to take advantage of this opportunity to snatch away Qin Ming's body. Everyone inside and outside the palace felt startled when they saw this scene on the light screen. The Silver Dragon King was enraged. Murderous intent flared in his eyes. Now that Qin Ming was already like this, he no longer had anything to fear. Whoosh! A golden flame appeared in Hao Kai's eyes. Pure solar true flame burst out of his body and burned fiercely. Even though Hao Kai knew that he would lose, he did not cower in fear. Instead, he gathered his wills and focused. It's Heavenly Slayer! Wang Yi shouted coldly, and the guests behind him immediately burst out with startling murderous intent. The murderous intent of the 15 sovereign emperors burst out in shock. Dark clouds instantly covered the sky, which was so clear that one could see the starry river. Even Xiao Chen could not retreat when facing the might of the Scarlet Blood War Banner's inheritance head-on. Fight! The Silver Dragon King felt incredibly anxious. He snatched back Qin Ming's body in the time it took for a spark to fly, worry filling his face. How dare you! All Xiao Chen needed was one more kick to end this. Between Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King, one of them would definitely hold him back. Xiao Sua, Wu Meng, and Qin Zhuolin also fell along with the banner. Boom! Sikong Shu, how is it? The 13th Prince Wang Yi did not care. He mocked. 9th brother, don't tell me that you don't understand the principle of the strong preying on the weak. Just be frank. I have an old grudge with you. Even if 1st brother or 8th brother became the crown prince of the ancient Yin Emperor tomb, I would not worry too much. Only you. It is hard to guarantee that you will not take revenge. Although your chances of becoming the crown prince are slim, I still have to guard against you. Rage flashed in Wang Yi's eyes. Clearly, he had not expected the ninth prince's team to be so united. Once he brought out the heavenly Dao's killing intent, he would injure himself if he did not kill. Whoosh! At this moment, Qin Zhuolin was extremely weak. The body of a sovereign emperor had already transcended the mundane. Whoosh! Xiao Suo pulled out the Scarlet Blood War banner. Then the Scarlet War banner suddenly unfurled and thrust its tip forward. This startled the Silver Dragon King. According to Sikong Shu, even if Qin Ming recovered from his injuries, he might not be able to return to his peak state. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.